right, what do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Oh! My God! No!
Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Hi, it's me, Legal Vices, and...
I am not gay. I have relationships with women and sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
Hey, everybody. How are you doing? It's me, Legal Vices. And in all fairness, for the last 8 minutes, I've been trying to engage Doggo Cam, but it's not cooperating. This is the last time. If this doesn't work, then we're not gonna get the Doggo Cam if this doesn't work. 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah, whatever gremlins are in the machine, the Doggo Cam is not activating. And that's what I've been trying to do for the last 8 minutes. Kaiser Pineapple, you are so wrong. Kaiser Pineapple says Jeff has been hitting the liquor, lol. No, for the last 8 minutes, I've been trying to get the Doggo Cam to engage as the extra camera here on StreamYard for the last 8 minutes. Granted, for the last 3 hours, I've been hitting the liquor, but we're not getting the Doggo Cam for some reason. It's just not engaging, and frankly, I don't have time to figure it out. It probably requires a reboot, which we just don't have time for. So the power of dogs compels you. And that's what I was going to do because we're talking about cults. I was so looking forward to it, but it just didn't seem right to drop the cult hammer on people. But whatever. How are we all doing wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with, and however good it feels? Welcome to Legal Vices, where today we're going to be talking about cults.
The power of Christ compels you.
Oh, and I guarantee we're probably going to be hearing a lot of that this evening. All right. So, with the Lori Daybell trial, and then the recent discovery of this weird starvation cult in Kenya, cults are starting to kind of find their way back into the mainstream media these days. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about the cults, he means Democrats. We're going to be talking a little bit about this starvation cult in Kenya that has just cropped up during the last week, as well as some other cults in the recent modern history, what constitutes a cult and all of that. Kaiser Pineapple says, you can take my comment down now. All right, whatever. If that's what you want, we'll take it down. The Rajneesh, yeah, we'll be talking about the Rajneesh because I actually dated a girl in high school from Bend, Oregon. And, she has lots of stories of direct interactions with the Rajneesh. So yeah, we'll be talking hopefully, depending on how this works out time-wise, the Rajneesh are the last on my list of things to talk about, but they're definitely there. Because I've got a lot of stories about them just through the girl in high school that I dated. The Children of God. Rose McGowan was one of the. I didn't know she was one of the Children of God. My ex-wife kind of started to sort of get involved with them, but even she realized they were a little bit loopy for her. Because when she was telling me about, I'm going to go to California, I'm going to do this, I'm like, you know what that sounds like? And then I sort of turned her on to a little bit of information, and she went, okay, yeah, right. Tax season is officially over for you, Betty B Photography. For us here, international people, we still have an extra month to do this BS. So I'm kind of starting my tax stuff right now because I'm a procrastinator. How are we all doing? It is me, Legal Vices. You are the Vice Squad. You are my mods. You are my peeps. You are my super chatters. And as we go through this as super chatters, if you plan on super chatting, do it up front because I don't know how long the stream will be going. We're doing what we can to keep it going for at least a couple of hours, hour and a half. 90 minutes is my goal. We'll see how it goes. So if you want to super chat, want to get something out there, want to tell people, do it now up front because that's when you do it. Otherwise, there is no minimum super chat required to engage or to talk. We'll talk as much as we can with regular chats, but if you so choose to liberate yourself from some of your money to support the show, you are guaranteed a priority comment, answer, whatever it is. I will respond to the super chats with priority. So thank you very much for that in advance. If you so choose to super chat, not important, not required, but always gratefully accepted, always gratefully acknowledged and graciously entertained. We don't have a like and subscribe poll today because I didn't have time to do it. I think we need to put one up anyway. Right now, let's start the poll. Okay, we'll title this lame poll, like, all caps, like and subscribe. Subscribe. And the poll is first choice. It's the first. The power of Christ compels you. That is the obvious one. The power of all caps. No, just capital CHRIST compels you. All hail. Oh, wait a minute. All hail Satan. And why can't I find a good sex cult? Seriously, like, I want to start a sex cult, but that's a totally different discussion. And the final option, what should we have for the final option on our poll? Got the power of Christ compels you. All hail Satan. Why can't I find a good sex cult? I don't know what to put for the last choice. Gross. Joaquin Phone is and his sister were also part of the Children of God. Phone is, I assume that's like a voice to text Joaquin Phoenix. Waifu, hey Jess, what's up? Waifu came in at All Hail Satan, which is where you should come in. Morning, Nicholas. Oh, Flux, I hate you so much. Swedish cults, we have a large one that eats weird foods and on weird holidays called Sweden. All right, that's our last choice. Weird Swedish cult. What is it? Swedish cult that eats weird food. Okay. Weird Swedish cult that eats food. I guess that's all. Okay, we have to delete weird. We'll delete our judgment comment. Swedish cult that eats weird food. All right, there we go. Our like, for what it's worth, our like and subscribe poll is up. Lame poll, like and subscribe. And the poll is first choice, the power of Christ compels you. Second choice, all hail Satan. Third choice, why can't I find a good sex cult? And fourth, Swedish cult that eats weird food. Thank you so much for that inspiration there, Nicholas, to help us get through the last little bit cultish goodness. And in the meanwhile, Flux is tormenting me and forcing me by virtue of it being a super chat to read, rah, rah, Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen. Also, Mokadik Poon, XOXO, fully adjustable, blow for freedom. And as always, hashtag Panzar Prison. Love you. Love you too, Flux. Please disregard all those hate mails I sent you via Twitter a minute ago, but rah, rah, Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen. Yeah. The lover of the Russian queen, that happens for Friday with me. That's why I'm not sure what time I'll be on Friday or not, because we've got the rah-rah Rasputin lover of the Russian queen happening before I do my stream on Friday. So we'll just see how that goes. So here's what's coming up on the Legal Vices deal. Tomorrow, Chandler Halderson and I will be doing our OJ Simpson stream. That is probably going to start an hour later. I'll have to check because I have an appointment with a friend and I'm not sure what time it gets over and I'm not sure how much I'll have time. So tomorrow's stream will probably start an hour later at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We'll just have to see how that goes. Stand by for news. Check out the stream notifications as well as Twitter tomorrow. That'll tell you what time it starts, but I'm thinking we're going to be starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Friday, we have an interesting thing. I was planning on doing a law news roundup on Friday, but there's an interesting lap. There's like an overlap in the legal like what are we going to call it? The legal sphere, the law tube sphere. There's an overlap of Johnny Depp attorney Camille Vasquez and our favorite judge Alex Manning that we watched last night. There is an overlap. So Friday, we're going to look at this overlap between Johnny Depp attorney Camille Vasquez, awesome Fulton County, Georgia judge Alex Manning, and Sacramento Kings basketball player. That's what we're going to be doing on Friday if we do the Friday stream. So stand by for Alex Manning, Camille Vasquez, and a professional basketball player on Friday. Monday, we're going to be doing a very special Maritime Monday. So that's where we are. Polls are lame, of course. Polls are lame. NXIVM. Oh, we'll talk about them. We'll talk about the weird sex cult there that the stars are engaged in. So, all right, that's where we are. What? John Gary, I've been involved in a number of cults, both as a leader and a follower. You have more fun as a follower, but you make more money as a leader. And see, I was planning on going back through my, I have a bunch of files from back when I was a Mormon missionary here in Korea from 1988 to 1990. That was like the heyday of Korean doomsday cults for some reason. And I collected a lot of pamphlets and a lot of cool stuff from that era, but I didn't have time because I was out having dinner with a friend and we wrapped up way late and it took a while to get home. So I didn't have time to go back through my boxes to pull out all of my old pamphlets and things from the old days. There was this great cult that decided that the entire world was going to end. They decided that the entire world was going to end in 1991, I believe it was. And their pamphlets had all these quotes from Revelation and the Bible and whatnot that somehow proved the world was going to end in 1990 or 1990. It would have had to been 1991. But as part of their pamphlet, I don't know if any of you people from like the South or the West will probably remember the good old monster truck rallies and Truckosaurus. It was even lampooned and parodied in The Simpsons. The Truckosaurus. They actually had the Truckosaurus like like figure on their pamphlet as an icon of why and how the world was going to end. But I'll dig those out and we'll probably talk about those at some point next week. Fifth option is this is a stupid poll. Mr. Goldenrod, that is a given for any poll that I do. That's not even a fifth option. That is the primary. That is like the zero option. The zero option is every poll I do is a stupid poll. This was like extra ridiculous because it was done on the fly. But yeah, so at one point, Truckosaurus, which was parodied and lampooned in The Simpsons, was actually the symbol of a doomsday cult here in Korea in the early 1990s. I'm seriously going to have to dig out these pamphlets and stuff that I have from several different doomsday cults from the early 90s and talk about them. But like I said, the Lori Vallow trial and the Mormon spin-off cults and whatnot, and as well as this Kenyan Starvation Cult that cropped up in the news earlier on this week. that sort of brought cults back into the limelight. It's back into the focus of people. So we're focusing on these. So tonight, what I want to do is I want to first, this is my roadmap. We'll see how it goes. My roadmaps always go off the rails because I'm so borderline ADHD. I'm like walking like 1 foot on either side of the line. Plus, you super chats, you get in my way. Plus, I just, ramble. But my plan for the night is to begin by talking about this Kenyan starvation cult for a bit. Who's behind it? What church is it? Who's the leader? And how did it get where it is? And then talk about some of the other historical modern day cults, the Charles Manson cult. Okay, Jody, we'll get to you in just a second here because you bring up a good point. Like the Charles Manson stuff, the UFO cults and all these. And then, so we'll talk about like what is a cult and then go through a list of some of the modern day dangerous cults. That's kind of the roadmap I want to work with today. We'll just see how it goes. Fifth option is the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Oh, see, you got to go back to that. I'm actually an ordained minister in the, by virtue of my service as a Mormon missionary in the LDS church. I am an ordained elder in the LDS church, but also for those of you that want to dig deep into the internet lore, I am also an ordained elder in the church of Bob. All hail Bob. There's like the anti-cult churches, and we're not gonna talk about the church. It's like the Church of the Subgenius. That was like the original internet online church, was the Church of the Subgenius. All hail Bob, of which I am an ordained member, and I believe Kurt from Uncivil Law actually has an actual physical copy of the teachings of the Church of the Subgenius, because I vaguely remember him reading that once. The Church of the Subgenius is awesome. All hail Bob, J.R. Bob Dobbs. He is the supreme lord and master of the Church of the Subgenius. But yeah, put that aside, put the Flying Spaghetti Monster aside, and go back to those are like the two big internet pseudo semi-religious cults that started up. But yes, I was a missionary. I was a missionary here in Korea for 2 years. So yeah, that Danny On and I, we're ride or die peeps. Danny On and I, we share several things together. Both Mormons, both from Utah, both live in the life, both went to University of Utah Law School. We have these connections together. And so, what I didn't mention is, like I said, I want to do the Kenyan Starvation Cult, and then go back through what is a cult, what makes a cult, go back through some of the cults in history, and then I want to finish up with some Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow internet erotic prawn. Yeah. If you watched Danny On, she was reading a little bit of this the other day, and she stopped because she wanted me to join her, but I couldn't because I was at work. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna kind of wet your whistle a little bit. We're gonna read a little bit of the Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, Mormon breakaway cult erotic text message prawn that he wrote. And then on Friday evening U.S. time, Danny On and I, on Danny On's channel, we are going to read it in its entirety together. So stand by for Friday evening, Chad Daybell erotic fiction to Lori Vallow prawn. We need some missionary pictures, Jeff. Oh my God, I don't think I have any on my computer. I know I've got like a box over there. I'll have to dig up some of my old pictures. Yeah, I was an LDS missionary here in Korea from July 1988 to June 1990. And then I came back as an exchange student in 1991, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, that was me. I was a Mormon missionary here in Korea. Originally, that's how I got here. Poppy says, I tried to help Kurt by channel boosting, but he took a giant metaphorical dump on me over a joke. Yeah, that can happen. Hey, where do we go? Nick, where are you? We got Chandler. Hey, Chandler Halderson. God damn it, I almost did it again. Chandler Remington. No. And Joe Choi, good to see you here. There was a lady on MAFS Australia from Utah who is a Mormon. That must be a key thing there. I don't know what MAFS is, so I can't comment on that. I thought Kenya was a hungry nation in general. Well, yeah, but I guess now they're trying to alleviate the hunger problem. Nicola Maxwell, Jeff wetting our whistles. It's that if that's not a happy day, I don't know what to tell you. Flux, oh shit, ha ha ha. All right, that's us. That we've done our thing here. We've done our grift. We don't really have much of a house cleaning thing to do this evening, so we're gonna jump right into this. We're going to jump right into this 20 minutes after I start my stream. We've currently got 571 of you, and only 277 of you have hit the like. Please hit that like button. 200 of you have not done your job. And if you are so inclined, I would be gratefully indebted to you for the love of eternity. If you would please, if you have not done so, hit the subscribe button. And if you have subscribed, please double check and make sure you are still subscribed. For the last month, I've been caught in this YouTube vortex of hell where you gain 25 a day, lose 25 a day, gain 25 a day, lose 25 a day. It's this weird thing that YouTube does, but we are slowly, apparently, trying to crawl our way out of that, trying to crawl back up to 36,000 subscribers. Currently, we have 35,983 subscribers. 17 more subscribers gets us back to 36,000 and hopefully breaks the cycle of YouTube abuse. But let's look at the super chats that have come in so far. Then we'll jump into the Kenyan Starvation Cult that has just come to the light. Been there, done that, blow for freedom. And again, you had to have watched the last trial restream for that to be funny, but it's funny. Thank you so much, JSD's nuts. Dang it, Jeff. Meeting a hooker is not an appointment with a friend. Nah, didn't meet a hooker. Hung out with a retired American lawyer friend here at an amazing Spanish restaurant. There's this gorgeous Spanish restaurant that's just up the street from my house. We had prawns, we had octopus. We had, just tortilla de patata, like potato, like tortilla things. We had 2 bottles of wine. It's amazing gambas. Oh, it was so good. And I couldn't break away because we were drinking. Kyle Bogue, thank you so much for your super chat. Chandler Halderson, did you take a bite? Chandler? It's Remington, Lamau. I know, but that's the thing is I have kind of this semi-Tourette's thing in my head that like the harder you try not to say something, the more you end up saying it. And I've told Chandler Remington this, that the more I try not to call her Chandler Halderson, the more it accidentally slips out because that's just how my brain works. Like the harder it tells me not to say something, the more it wants to say it. So tune in Sunday, says Nicholas Starov, Union Rep, Labor Law, and I hope I'm going to be able to do this. It's going to be really super early in the morning, and I've got to somehow work my work schedule into this because, Nicholas doesn't work his schedule around me, which is understandable. So I'm going to have to try to work my schedule around Nicholas to be part of this, but tune in on Sunday, new Swedish weird holiday. It's not a new holiday, is it? It's like an ancient holiday, but it's new to like weirdos. Celebrating St. Valborg coincides with my birthday. Will there be herring? Now, St. Valborg is an Interesting, Saint. Nicholas, why don't you post in chat exactly the weird shit that unfortunately Saint Valberg got fingered to be the patron saint of? Nope, LDS isn't a cult. All right, we're going to talk about the cults tonight. And like I said, there's a fine line, there's a fine definition between what constitutes a conservative religion and what constitutes a religious cult. And that's the kind of thing that I want to walk this fine line. I mean, as someone who grew up in the Mormon church, I do not in any way see it as a cult. You know, we'll talk more about it later, but anytime you have to use phrases like escape from, or that kind of denotes a cult. But if you don't want to be Mormon, don't be a Mormon. Just like, don't show up to church anymore. And they'll send a few people around your house to make sure you're okay and try to get you to come back. You get it off, you're done. You don't have to escape from being Mormon. So like LDS, Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witnesses, I don't consider them a cult. I consider them to be sort of more of the extremely conservative religions. But what I want to talk about today is like the real cults, the dangerous cults. That's what we'll be talking about today. Meat Popsicle says the Church of Cthulhu. And if you know me, you know I am a huge Cthulhu fan. My other room, my cigar and whiskey room, is sort of a semi-shrine to Cthulhu. If I had to believe in like gods again, I would believe in the elder gods, in the Cthulhu gods. And for those of you that watch my stream, you will know. Let me bust the camera out here. Let me remove the background blur. That right there, this painting here, this is a limited edition painting by a Frenchman named Francois Berenger of Cthulhu Rising from Riley. And I've done it before, and I did it on Maritime Monday. Background replacement. Let me pop this in. This is a random background replacement. Where is Cthulhu? A, B, C, D, alphabet. All right, perhaps we need to go to, isn't that where we are? Maybe it's on the Maritime Monday stream. I have too many weird things opened up. Nope, it's not here either, but I have some Cthulhu backgrounds, one of which I was using on Monday, just because, that's how I roll. I'm a huge Cthulhu fan, huge Lovecraft fan. And, okay, yeah, this is one of them. This is the Cthulhu. This is the ship approaching the, Riley that came up out of the sea where Cthulhu is from. And then we have the other one. Let's see. This so has nothing to do with anything we're going to be talking about today, but why not? This is also a painting by the same guy, Francois Berenger. This is just Cthulhu here. I love this painting. I have a limited edition print of one of 120 of these paintings. But yeah, this is Francois Berenger. He did this painting that's my background, and he did this painting here and a couple of other paintings. So the cult of Cthulhu is real. And by the way, in a few weeks, you'll be seeing a brand new pipe a tobacco pipe that I'm getting that's carved in a Cthulhu fashion. So, all right, that's kind of what we have lined up here. El Pappy says, isn't Scientology rooted in Lovecraftian lore? At the risk of getting my ass sued up by Scientologists, no, not really. It's not rooted in Lovecraftian lore. The creator of Scientology was L. Ron Hubbard. He was a mediocre science fiction writer. And the story goes that Robert Heinlein, who was the author of Stranger in a Strange Land and many other amazing science fiction novels, challenged L. Ron Hubbard to create a religion. And so L. Ron Hubbard took that to heart and created Scientology. So it's not rooted in Lovecraftian lore. It is it's the brainchild of science fiction author L. Ron Hubbard. But we won't talk about Scientology because, quite frankly, I'm afraid of getting my ass suit off. Robert Heinlein did Starship Troopers. That is correct. Lovecraft horror is the best horror genre. Also correct. I'm not going to read that, James Andrew Morrison, but you may be correct. The Man from Mars, great book. Yep. I just like Stranger in a Strange Land is one of my favorite science fiction books of all time. My favorite science fiction books are like hands down Dune and Stranger in a Strange Land. Mutant Banhammer, Legal Vices. Why is the guy who created Scientology named after the elf who led the council to decide what to the rings of power in the Fellowship of the Ring? Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard. No, L. period Ron Hubbard, not L. Ron Hubbard. Nice. Yeah, the old Dianetics commercials. But we're not here to talk about Scientology because they're doing their thing. I think pretty much everybody other than Scientologists know that they're just a weird money-grubbing thing. I don't even know if they qualify as a cult. They just qualify as a bunch of dumb people getting together and giving their money to people. Rip Harry Belafonte. Harry Belafonte. Yeah, he died like recently. If LDS is a cult, then so are the JWC. And then that's like Mormons, Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventists. I don't consider them a cult at all. I just consider them to be very conservative religions, which is different than what we're going to talk about here today. But first and foremost, one thing we need to talk about, and by the way, thank you people for the super chats that have come in so far. If I haven't already mentioned that. But the first thing we want to talk about is this new cult that has arisen out of Kenya, which apparently has its roots in America. Shizzy Wisnut says, I could be wrong, but I believe it was a challenge between three riders. Roger Serling was in on the challenge. Also, Elron won out. I don't remember Roger Serling being involved. I just remember it being Robert Heinlein challenging L. Ron Hubbard to come up with a religion. But who knows? It could be either way. More like Amway. Oh, God. Let's not even get into pyramid. I'm sorry. This is not pyramid marketing. This is like different. This is like if you get some people here and then you get more people under you and they get more people under than them. That's what we're doing. It's multi-level. It's not really a pyramid, but if you diagram it, it's a fucking pyramid. That's a scheme. It's not necessarily a cult. So, all right, with that out of the way, let's bring up our first story about this cult in Africa. This is weird. This just came out of the blue. And I mean, the thing is, like, Christianity in Africa, outside of South Africa, in like the rest of Africa, is relatively new. And so as you sort of find out in any culture, when Christianity comes in, the original, like the early days of Christianity are kind of like a wild west of religion where everybody gets the fervor. Everybody gets it. You know, and then you start getting these breakaway sects, sects, S-E-C-T-S, in case you're wondering how that's spelled, and other things. And so that's kind of where we are sitting in Kenya. And stop. Hey, Dargi, Yoda, stop licking each other. I can't put you on camera, so anyway. This Kenyan Starvation Cult. This has just cropped up in the last week. And currently, so far, I mean, this was earlier today. I don't know what the situation is right now within the last, say, 8 hours. But as of 8 hours ago, police have uncovered 89 bodies from mass graves in a forest in eastern Kenya that are believed to be linked to a cult that allegedly encouraged its followers to starve themselves to death to gain salvation. Remember that, because that will come up later in our discussion of cults. And I'm not going to pronounce any of these African names correctly, so I'm going to opt to kind of not pronounce them as much as I can. The Kenyan Interior Ministry said 3 people were found alive and rescued on Tuesday. In all, 34 people have been rescued since the graves were discovered last Friday on an 800-acre forest. That is a huge forest. which makes it really hard to find bodies. They're said to be members of the Good News International Church, which allegedly taught its members that they would go to heaven if they starved themselves. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about later, about what is a cult and what does a cult mean, is this idea of this transcendent thing. We're in this state. If you do X, then Y will happen to take you to the next stage of existence. Yellow Flash in the house. Yellow Flash, welcome, my brother. Long time. Absolutely no C. You are here. Yellow Flash says they have received their salvation and got their good news. Say hallelujah, brother. Yellow Flash, you are a prophet of our modern days, bringing the people to Jesus. Say hallelujah. Bring them to the anime. Bring them to the comic book. Bring them to the way of the Lord in the Yellow Flash manner. Sorry, didn't mean to get off on that tangent, but Yellow Flash, welcome. Always great to have the Yellow Flash in chat. I don't know where that came from, but all right. Anyway, Paul McKenzie, we'll just call him Paul McKenzie. Can't pronounce that last name. The leader of the cult was arrested after police received a tip-off that his last land on the Shakola forest in the Kilifi County of eastern Kenya contained mass graves. If you own land and they're finding mass graves on it, that's a bad thing. That's just a bad thing. And as he was being carried away by police, he was shouting, "Praise Jesus. Praise Jesus," when he was being hauled away by the police, by the popo. The popo caught him. Following his arrest, his lawyer told CNN on Tuesday that he was denied bail over investigating interference fears. The court is of the opinion that he might interfere with investigations, his lawyer told CNN. Reverend McKenzie, we'll call him. Yeah, the Gete, I have no idea. But his lawyer said prosecutors have been given 14 days to investigate the case, adding that he has not been charged. He added that he has no permission from his client to comment on allegations that he encouraged his followers to starve themselves to death in order to go to heaven. I can't disclose what my client is telling me without his express permission. I can't know if there are people that died fasting. It's only a post-mortem report that can advise that position, and of which none has been supplied. But what is CNN saying about this? We'll tell you as soon as...
I want to take you to Kenya now. Police have recovered 89 bodies from mass graves in a forest. They're thought to be followers of a Christian cult who believe they would go to heaven if they starve themselves. And a warning, these are disturbing images in the next story. Aylan Njokas has a story for you.
Dozens of bodies recovered from shallow graves. This forest in eastern Kenya, the site of a suspected religious cult, believed to be encouraging followers to starve themselves in order to reach heaven. Police say at least 34 people have been rescued, but families fear many more will not be found alive.
None of us have seen our relative, but we are just rescuing more people and seeing more graves.
Police identified a man named Paul Nthenge Mackenzie as the cult's leader. Seen here shouting, "Praise Jesus,"
Praise
as he's
Jesus.
escorted by police who arrested him after they were tipped off that his vast land in Kenya's Shakohala forest contained mass graves. Police say they got reports last month that Mackenzie was linked to the deaths of 2 children, allegedly instructed to fast until they died.
Terrorists use religion to advance their heinous acts.
Right.
People like Mr. Mackenzie are using religion to do exactly the same thing.
Kenya's government has called for tighter regulations on those using religion to promote radical ideologies.
We came across one individual who was rescued from the interior, but the moment she was brought here, she absolutely refused to, be administered with first aid, and she closed her mouth firmly.
This is it. This is the thing. They've been rescued. There's people that have been rescued from this cult, but they are so into it that there's people like, here, eat this, drink this, take this solution, take this IV to save your life. And they're still involved in it. They're still shutting themselves off and saying no.
Brought here, she absolutely refused to, be administered with first aid, and she closed her mouth firmly, basically refusing to be assisted, wanting to continue with her fast until she dies. We need psychosocial counseling so that they can be, de-radicalized and understand what is happening.
Police have said that all those culpable for the crimes of the suspected cult, dubbed the Good News International Church, will face justice. Lenny Jakas, CNN, Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty serious. That's it. They found 89 bodies so far. And they're presuming that they starved to death. They still have to do autopsies on these bodies to find out what the actual cause of death was. But again, these are things that are scattered around 800 acres. So God alone only knows how long it's going to take to go through 800 acres to see how many bodies there actually are there in this Kenyan cult. Hey, wifey, what's up, Jazz? Welcome. Abu Dhabi, Adriana. Yes, that's where the that's the local CNN center, I guess, for that area of like central to northern Africa. Poison. We're going to talk about some poisoning cults here tonight, so strap in, strap on the strapper. All right. What else do we know? This is what's happening so far in this Kenyan starvation cult, they're calling it. And we're actually going to talk about that. Is this a media hype? Is this a moniker that people have just given to this particular religious group for clickbait, or is it actually a starvation cult? Oh, and Music and Fiction says deprogramming takes many years. So that lady is going to have a very rough road. And see, this is part of the insidious thing about cults and groups like this is a lot of times Scientology, they will actually buy, they will buy and assume the deprogramming organizations to where the people that you are literally trying to be deprogrammed from own the deprogramming programs that you're part of. There's some insidious shit there. And that's the last thing I'm going to say about anything to do with Scientology other than watching the Masterson trial that is starting now. Keep your eye on that. That'll be some interesting stuff. But all right, let's embiggen this and look at the Kenyan starvation cult, the unbearable stench of mass graves. In the middle of a forest not far from Kenya's coast, piles of fresh earth topped with crucifixes await the attention of forensic experts. About 14 mass graves have so far been dug up on Hussein Khalid, and Hussein Khalid has spent the past 4 days watching people exhume dozens of bodies. The stench is unbearable, he tells BBC. The dead are thought to have been members of the Good News International Church. It is believed they were persuaded to starve themselves in order to reach heaven before what they were told was going to be the end of the world. And we're going to talk about this end of the world belief by this Good News International. Who are they? Where did they come from? And how did they rise to prominence in Kenya in just a little bit? Dick Masterson finally got caught for his antics. No, not Dick. Mr. Khalid. That's funny, actually. Mr. Khalid runs the rights organization's Haki Africa, which took the authorities to the grave sites at the end of last week after being tipped off by some locals. The place is quite hidden. Again, that's another thing. Isolation from society. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The place is quite hidden inside Shakola Forest, and he says that he and his team needed to cut back shrubs and bushes in order to drive there. 89 bodies have been exhumed so far, but the final count could be much higher, as the Red Cross has said that 112 people have been reported missing. Mr. Khalid estimates that there are around 60 mass graves, and they've only found 14 so far. There are around 60 mass grave sites in the area, and only a quarter of those have been exhumed. Police say that 29 survivors have been found so far, but it seems that not all of them wanted to be rescued, as we just heard from the recent CNN report that I played. So convinced they were about what they were told about the end of the world. On Sunday, Mr. Khalid came across a woman in her late 20s, looking extremely frail with sunken eyes, but she did not want to be helped. When we tried, this is what he just said. When we tried to administer first aid, she gave her sips of water with glucose with a spoon. She completely refused. She sealed her mouth shut, and she was signifying that she doesn't want help, Mr. Khalid says, adding that the woman was now being treated in a hospital. He also came across a man in his 40s who was able to talk. He said he didn't need any saving, and that he was in his senses, and he knows what he is doing, and he should be left alone. He even called us enemies of him going to heaven. That man has also been taken to a hospital. Victor from the Malindi Community Human Rights Center, which is helping exhume the body, says he thinks there are about 150 bodies. That means with 89 accounted for so far, that's about half of the actual bodies that are suspected of being on this 800-acre property. He said his organization has been contacted by a whistleblower who wanted to help rescuing his 3 children. It was quite unfortunate because we only rescued one whom we found in a house tied up with rope, he told the BBC. And this kid we believe to be 6 years of age, but his sister and brother were already dead and had been buried the previous day before we got there. The suspected sites of more bodies. Beyond the forest itself, there is a shock in the country over how dozens of people could have willingly starved themselves to death. And this is the thing, these African countries, they've been the focus of religious fervor, we'll call it, for the last several decades. And what I've experienced here, like Christianity in Korea in its early infancy, it's been here for the last 120, 150 years or so, but Christianity really began to bloom here in Korea in the 1990s, and Korea is a hotbed of cults. And so I think it's like whenever Christianity has this major boom, it encourages people that are part of the core group as well as the fringe groups to create these fringe cults and whatnot. And Christianity in Kenya is relatively new, but as it says here, Kenya is a profoundly religious country with 85% of the population identifying as Christian. President William Ruto, who is a devout man himself, has described the head of the Good News International Church, Pastor Mackenzie, as someone who did not belong to any religion. The Interior Minister has called what happened a massacre. Last month, Mr. Mackenzie was charged in connection with the deaths of 2 children whose parents had joined the church. He was released on bail, but he is now back in police custody. The Speaker of the Senate asked how evil of such an astounding magnitude could take place without being detected. There is also the question of why someone would starve themselves. That is a good question. At one point, do you go, okay, this is for Jesus. This is for the better good. This is for my salvation. I'm gonna starve myself. At what point does that happen? Theologian and psychologist Dr. James Kipsang Barngetuni told the BBC that there was a problem in Kenya with the mushrooming of lots of small churches which are not properly regulated. See, I don't know if I like the regulation of churches part of it, but I get, that there's nobody going, okay, you've crossed whatever line. I don't know how we balance this regulation of religion versus, religious freedom. I don't know. I'm not here to talk about that because it's just it's nebulous. I don't know. He said that unscrupulous leaders are able to brainwash people and take advantage of their desires to find a solution to their problems. Back in the forest, Mr. Khalid has been told that there is a place deeper inside where people gathered to pray. And he's urged the authorities to step up a search and rescue operation in the forest, which covers some 800 acres, 325 hectares. Local people are beginning to come to the grave sites to tell the authorities about relatives who are missing. One man told Mr. Khalid that his three sons, aged 21, 17, and 14, had been taken by his brother to join the church. He feared that they were all now dead. That's kind of a hefty thing. A chaos coordinator who's been a member of 6 months of the Legal Vice's Fallen Angels level. Chaos coordinator being the Uber member of the Fallen Angels tier says, all hail people with pre-booked VIP placements in hell. Reason, laughing at things I was supposed to. Baldo, I was not supposed to. Baldo, laughing face, need a slot there, Jeff. I can speak with the manager, Beelzebub, to get you a cozy room. That's the thing my mother and I always joked about, was like, if you go first, please keep a seat next to the fire for me, and we can roast marshmallows for eternity. Torgo, bring in the chat 18 minutes ago. Let me scroll up there to get this so we don't miss it. Bear with me just 1 second. I was in the throes of reading. I was possessed by the spirit of books and reading news articles while we bring this cult to. We're not done with this cult, by the way. We are far from it. We're about midway. We're about midstream with this particular cult. All right, let's see where we are. Torgo the White. There we are. Torgo the White says, thank you so much for that super chat, by the way. Legal Vices, let's get viced. Righto. Now we can go all the way to the bottom. Well, not all the way to the bottom, but halfway to the bottom. He said, while I was reading that, a couple of super chats came in. I want to make sure we do them all justice and give them a good read, because you earned it. You deserve it. And that's what I have to do. Did I star this one? I did. Daryl Smith, cult plus time equals religion. I don't think that's too far off. I don't think that's too far off of the truth. You get super uber religious fanatics that have too much time on their hands. And then they start debating about whether the pearly gates swing or slide, whether Moses' sandals were buckled or tied, and all these important things that they believe contribute to your salvation, which really don't. You get the smart people, the charismatic people that start to go off on these tangents, and they get away from whatever the core doctrines of the belief are, and they start thinking. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, they start thinking too much. But I mean, you should always be open-minded and thinking about whatever group you're a part of. You should always be questioning things. But it's when you start questioning it too much, when you start latching on to, these, do the pearly gates swing or slide, and you base your entire testimony of the truthfulness of that particular gospel on that one thing, then you kind of get off in the weeds a little bit. You get off in the religious weeds. We don't want people to get off in the religious weeds. And like I said, I'm really only going to be talking about a lot of Christian things, because I don't have any experience outside of the Christian realm of cults. I'm sure there are Islamic cults. I'm sure there are Buddhist cults. I'm sure there are Jewish cults out there, but I don't have any experience with them. So I'm not going to talk about or reference them. Yeah, you can expect at least 500 dead people there in Kenya. I hope it's not that much. I hope it sticks closer to the 150 they're estimating. But we just won't know. It's an ongoing situation. Patty B. Photography. Why are other religions not blamed when other crazy sects break off and people are unalived by the crazy leaders' actions? Why not disconnect here also? See, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure there are Jewish cults. I'm sure there are Islamic cults. I'm sure there are Buddhist cults, but I've never had any experience with them. So I don't really have any basis to talk about them. But I'm sure they're out there. Wait, is Vice's out Kool-Aid? Oh, we'll be talking about Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid a little bit here later. Don't worry about that. Jim Jones is coming. Buddhists have starved themselves before. Yeah, they've set themselves on fire during the Vietnam War. That's one of the iconic photographs of the Vietnam War, is the Buddhist monk setting himself on fire in the middle of the street. Black Hebrew Israelites. So these are just groups that I have not personally had any dealings with or any knowledge of, so I can't really talk about them. Darrell on the $1.49. I'm assuming that's a $1.50 super sticker. Thank you so much, as always. Kool-Aid? I like Kool-Aid, says Adriana. Well, we'll get there. Jeff, check out the Agoras of India. Okay. Yep. Yeah, the self-immolation of the monks. Hindu cults will kill you for eating beef. Blue Oyster Cult. Hey, that's my favorite cult. Go, 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 Godzilla. Yeah, seriously. Blue Oyster Cult. They sing about Godzilla. They're my favorite. And don't fear the reaper. Need more cowbell. If you're ever in a cult, just remember, you need more cowbell. No. Don't join if it's blue Kool-Aid. The only Kool-Aid you want is green lime Kool-Aid. Green lime Kool-Aid is the best Kool-Aid. That's the best Kool-Aid. There's Marv White. Thank you so much for your super chat. Did we figure out if gifted memberships put money? It does put money in my pocket. We just don't know how much. Not a lot, but it puts some. I'm not sure what it is. Didn't. Count Dankula said cults are fascinating. No, cults are fascinating. They're dangerous occasionally, benign sometimes, but regardless, they're fascinating. The human psyche and what leads us down that path, what leads us down to this groupthink where we give up our identities, is a fascinating thing. And that's what we're going to talk about in a little bit when we finish talking about this Kenyan Starvation Cult. Like, what is a cult and what makes a cult? And what are some of the generally accepted criteria, I guess, if you will, of a cult? But in the meantime, Marv White has gifted 5 Legal Vices memberships. Adriana, iPoppy, Old Line Red, Justin Smith, and Mustang McCracken received the 5 Legal Vices memberships gifted by Marv White. Give everybody give Marv White a thank you for the 5 gifted Legal Vices membership. Yeah, lemon lime Kool-Aid, lemon lime Jello, anything green that tastes vaguely of lime, I'm down for. Whenever I'm 53 years old, and occasionally I still make Jello shots, like vodka Jello shots, and it's always lemon lime green Jello. That's how it works. And if you're LDS or if you're Mormon and green Jello holds a special place in your heart. All right. So what's next? Where do we go from here with this wild accusations of a cult in Kenya? Well, let's look at this article here. I don't want to subscribe, but I'll accept because I'm magnanimous. What we know so far, this is Pastor Paul Mackenzie. He's the guy in charge. And this was so long ago, there was only 50 bodies exhumed at this point. And this article is written by, this is a long article, we won't read all of it, but it's written by Massimo Introvine, an Italian sociologist of religions. So he's not a reporter, he's a religious sociologist. And so he talks a little bit about what's true and what may not be true about this particular cult. Let's do the super chat before we jump into this, because we always... Wait, that needs an explanation, Jeff. Green Jello. It's just a weird default Mormon thing. Funerals, weddings, whatever. It's just green Jello with, and occasionally, okay, Mormon parties, picnics, dinners, whatever. It always, for some reason, involves green Jello. Just do a Google search for Mormons and green Jello. It's a thing. And it's either just straight green Jello or has like shredded carrots in green Jello, or like mandarin orange slices in green Jello. It's just a thing. It's a cultural thing, whatever. Been there, done that. Thank you so much for the super chat. It's those funeral potatoes that have my heart. Oh yeah, The Mormon funeral potatoes are a thing. While you're searching for Mormons and green jello, search for funeral potatoes too. It's basically like au gratin potatoes. It just happens at every funeral. That's just a thing. Mormon funeral potatoes are a thing. Right. Hey, what's up, Mexican Vader? Never got to anything associated with the Mormons. Got it. Shit's weird AF. Not really. It's much less weird than you would think. That's why it's kind of always amusing when people think, "Oh, you Mormons believe that." No, not really. It's just from the crazy people they've dealt with. Jello fruit salad, not so much, but funeral. But see, Swan Lake Lady, she's one of my homies. She's from just over the hill where I grew up. Swan Lake Lady lives about 15, maybe 20 miles away from where I grew up. She knows. She knows. When I was in the States, last year, we got together and had a great burger at one of the most amazing burger stands you'll ever see in Brigham City, Utah. Peach City. It's been around since like 1950s. It's still the old soda stand things. We met up with Swan Lake Lady there and had an amazing burger and an amazing shake with her there. She knows the funeral potatoes. She's a local people. Yeah. And Fire and Ice funeral potatoes are the best. I'm telling you, Danny On told us about them. They sound delicious. Danny On also knows very well about funeral potatoes. Been there, done that. Funeral potatoes are legit. Yeah, they're basically au gratin potatoes. I mean, that's kind of it. Does your son watch your show? This is a weird thing. Okay. I have told nobody I'm doing this YouTube thing. Nobody knows I'm doing this. This is a random weird cult side note. Nobody knows. I'm just kind of organically waiting to see how long it takes for someone I know to catch on to the fact I'm doing this. And we're approaching, we're like 1 week away from my 1 year anniversary and still nobody knows. So far, there's been like one girl that I talked to for a while. She knows I'm doing this. And another lawyer friend of mine in Las Vegas said, "Hey, my guy showed me this way back in the day when you were doing Johnny Depp. Is that you?" Yeah. So basically 2 people I know only know how, and it's not that I'm hiding this or it's secret. I'm just waiting to see how long it takes for this to just propagate out there for people to become aware of me that I know. So yeah, nobody knows I'm doing this. Not even my son, my sister, my father. Nobody knows I'm doing this because nobody has found out yet. I'm just kind of doing this. Been there, done that. Says, "Jeff, I need an invite with you and Swan Lake Lady next time you're at Brigham City joint." Where do you live? Been there, done that. I have no idea where you live. But I will be in Utah the second week. Well, I'll be in Utah on the 13th of August. I'll be in Houston for Anime Matsuri from August 10th to the 13th, and then I'll be in Utah for about 10 days. I have no idea where you're at. Where are you at? Been there, done that. I just have no idea. Barbara Vance says, "I'm not a Mormon, but grew up on Kool-Aid, fruit salad, and au gratin potatoes." So you basically grew up Mormon. You know, that's what it is. Tug Simp, Reindeer. Yes, I'm watching that too. Crazy people everywhere. What are you watching, Reindeer? Why are you not watching me? I'm the only crazy person you should be watching. Been there, done that. Lives in Layton. Have family in Logan. Yeah, that's my hometown, Nibley, Utah, just outside Logan. My sister lives in Logan. Layton Hills Mall. That's where you go. Like, Logan sucks shit for shopping. Brigham City is also a shitty place for socks. If you live in Logan, the closest place to get any good shopping is the Layton Hills Mall, where Been There, Done That lives. You are officially invited to the Utah meetup. I'll probably doing, if anybody gives a shit, I'll be doing a meetup in Brigham City and a meetup in Salt Lake City in the Lake Effect Bar, which is an amazing bar. Chaz, you're in Ogden. Yeah, fine. Like I said, I plan on doing at least 2 meetups. One in Brigham City at Peach City, and one at Lake Effect Bar in Salt Lake City. So we'll do that. Second week in August, sometime between August 14th and the 21st. Somewhere in there we'll do it. Dates to be determined. Swan Lake says it's true. We suck. All right. We don't want to stray too far afield. We need to get back to it.
The power of Christ compels you.
Okay, let's get back to our story here. Deadly fasting in Kenya. Some 50 bodies. Again, this was so long ago, there's only 50 bodies. We're up to 89 last time I checked. Had been exhumed by the Kenyan police in the Shakahola forest near Malindi. There may be more. Obviously, there's more because they found at least 39 more. The authorities claim they belong to members of Good News International Church, whose pastor, Paul McKenzie, has been arrested and accused of persuading members to starve themselves and their children to death in order to meet Jesus. McKenzie denies that this is the case, and he started a hunger strike in jail. How ironic that a guy that's accused of convincing people to starve themselves to death has started a hunger strike. Now, I said this guy here is a religious sociologist, so he's not a news guy. He's not a simp. He's not he's a religious sociologist. So he's commenting on what's right and what's wrong about this particular group in his view, as well as the fact-checking reports. As it so often happens in these cases, this story is somewhat confused. The police and local media both say the victims fasted to death following McKenzie's instructions. All right. And that pathologists will take DNA samples to conduct tests to determine whether the victims died of starvation or not. Unlike anti-cultists and some international media, which have immediately applied to the incident the faulty paradigms of cults and brainwashing before even knowing what McKenzie's church was all about, we have no idea whether the founder of Good News International Church really preached fasting until death as a way to quickly reach heaven. If he did, he should clearly be prosecuted, and religious liberty would not be a valid defense for having caused the deaths of several dozen innocent followers. So he's taking the view of we haven't seen the evidence yet. We don't know what yet. We don't know if he actually said this or if he didn't. Let's take the overview approach to this. McKenzie's Good News International Church is part of an informal network of churches recognizing the authority of Kentucky-born preacher William Marion Branham. And I know next to nothing about William Branham other than what one of my friends who was born and raised Pennsylvania Pentecostal has told me about him previously. But they recognize him as God's prophet for our times. Branham emerged from the word of oneness Pentecostals, i.e. Pentecostals who baptize in the name of Jesus only, rather than the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, to preach a series of peculiar doctrines which made him a heretic in the eyes of most evangelical Christians, including most Pentecostals. Oh, Swan Lake Lady says I can take her kitty down now. Oh, I'm all about the kitty. All about that pussycat. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. We'll take your kitty down. Sorry about that. The so-called Branhamites, a label they do not like. Yeah, anytime people put an "ite" on your name, that's a bad sign. Maybe some 100,000 people around the world, and they disagree amongst themselves on many issues, including the exact role of Branham in God's plan of salvation, and who are exactly the descendants of the sexual relations between Satan and Eve. This is what I'm talking about. When you look at Christian doctrine, at its core, the basic tenets are Jesus is the Son of God. He died for our sins. He was resurrected 3 days later, and he is this part of the Godhead with the Father and the Holy Ghost. The further you stray from that, the more cult-ish you get, I think. And here we have a group of Pentecostals who are way out on the fringe to begin with. Then you have the fringiest of fringy McFringemsons from the Branhamites who are wondering about who are the actual descendants of the sexual relationships between Satan and Eve. Well, that's assuming a lot to begin with. But basically, it was like evil people who have in themselves the seed of the serpent. Some Branhamites are white supremacists who consider those of African descent as carrying the seed of the serpent. That's not an uncommon thing, because in the Bible, when it talks about Cain and Abel having their disagreement, where Cain, he offered he offered some fruit and vegetables to God, but Abel offered the meat and the other ritual sacrifices that God wanted, and Cain became jealous and killed Abel, and then Cain was given a mark that he would be known with through time and all eternity. There was the mark of Cain. A lot of people will interpret that to mean dark skin, or like African or black skin. A lot of people will take that mark of Cain to mean black skin. Not the least of which that's one of the LDS beliefs. But so the African people are the evil people who have the seeds of the serpent in them, and they're white supremacists. So that's kind of weird that a group of black people in Kenya would kind of buy into this possibly white supremacist church. That's kind of weird. Yes, Truther says the first raging feminist was Lilith. We'll get into Lilith when we talk about the Lori Vallow stuff coming up a little bit later. There's some interesting Lilith stuff going on there. So others are not racist as regard a variety of people, most of them whites, from atheist scientists to feminists, as being the real carriers of the serpent. Yes, it's not the blacks, it's the atheist scientists and feminists who are the seed of the serpent. But after the Malindi incident, I have read attempts to connect Pastor Mackenzie, an African, to white supremacism and racism. Well, that kind of seems a little bit ridiculous, and I'll give our author that. Some Branhamites are racists, but not all. I mean, that's the same with every group. You look at the Hells Angels, they talk about them as being a criminal organization and whatnot. Well, there's criminals in the organization, but that doesn't mean the organization itself is necessarily criminal. Here you have the religion every religion probably has racists and white supremacists and whatnot, but that doesn't make the religion or the group or the cult itself, racist. An African anti-black racist would not be an impossibility. That's a heavy sentence. An African anti-black racist would not be an impossibility. All right. And we have seen stranger things happening in the field of religion, but the Branham connection is not enough to come to that conclusion. As other Branhamites, but again, not all, are several fundamentalist Christians. Mackenzie is a radical critic of modern education. And this is where he started to get into a lot of trouble, was his problem with education. Education is materialistic and anti-religious and is prone to conspiracy theories. He was arrested several times, although at least once he was found not guilty of promoting radicalization and persuading families not to send children to school. In 2019, Kenya adopted the Huduma Namba, a biometric ID system. Mackenzie saw in this the mark of the beast of the book of Revelation in the Bible, echoing conspiracy theories criticizing other chip-based ID system common among fundamental Christians in the US and elsewhere. This led Mackenzie to be arrested and accused of operating a cult and brainwashing his followers. He was released and decided to retreat to the remote Shakahola forest area. If the current accusations are true, this would be a textbook case of amplification of deviance. Interesting. At that time, he was supported by other Kenyan churches and pastors. They didn't agree with his theologies and theories, but they saw his arrest as a violation of religious liberty. I don't agree with you. I think you're a heretic. I think you're crazy, but you shouldn't be arrested for your religion because I might be next. That's essentially what they are saying. And appreciating their support, Mackenzie invited a lay member of the Jesus Christians to speak at one of his meetings. Coincidentally, when news about the incident in Kenya broke out, I was in Australia visiting the Jesus Christians. I could thus hear directly from them the story of how they met Mackenzie in 2019. We scroll down here a little bit. The Jesus Christians, on the other hand, are well-known critics of China. That's random. And listened with sympathy to arguments that Chinese technology was used for the chip-based ID documents in Kenya. Within the framework of relationships between China and Kenya and other African countries, they were not alone in seeing as too strict and dangerous. But the Jesus Christians have their enemies as well. They would, of course, be preposterous to attack them based on the fact that, like several other religionists in Kenya, they regarded the 2019 arrest of Mackenzie over his anti-Huduma Namba criticism as a threat to religious liberty and accepted an invitation to speak at the event by Good News International. Now, here we get into this. Mackenzie may or may not be guilty of manslaughter or homicide by preaching fasting to death. If he is, it is important to point out that neither dozens of the Branhamite churches throughout the world, whatever one may think of their theology, nor the Jesus Christians and others who protested Mackenzie's arrest were involved in his preaching about extreme fasting. So he's saying, hey, whatever happens, this dude is on his own. He's making this shit up as he goes along. So it's not, don't make other groups guilty by association. Focus on this guy and his own personal beliefs. That's what you see a lot, like I said, with the cults. When you start worrying about, do the pearly gates swing or slide? What do they do? Does Moses's sandals buckle or lace? Or they slip-ons? When you get into that random theory and thinking about religion, you get away from the tenets and you start to get towards the fringe. And that's where people go, come on. Stand back, take a look, and how far out on the fringe are you? But again, where do you draw the line? If you go back, Martin Luther was on the fringe for nailing his points to the cathedral door and coming out against the Catholic Church. He was way out on the fringe. Copernicus was way out on the fringe for hypothesizing that the earth circled the sun rather than everything circling the earth. Where do you draw this line? This is a particularly interesting theory. Unbreaded, so not the body of Christ. He's unbreaded. I get what you did there. Yeah, how many angels can fit on the head of a pin? Some good philosophical questions there. The pearly gates are now automatic and have a ramp for wheelchairs. That's pretty good. Let's see. I think I've missed a couple super chats, but we'll check here. Law Ratchet. Wolfram says, Law Racks teaching the legal vices cult about the dangers of cults. Hey, the only cult you want to be involved in is the cult of Lafrodite, Danny on direct. She's the only cult you want to be part of. Trust me. The power behind the throne. Law Ratchet, says Adriana. That's me. I'm Law Ratchet. Galileo also on the fringe and imprisoned by the Catholic Church for his scientific beliefs and ultimately forced under pain of torture to, if I recall correctly, to recant his beliefs. Imagine going to the afterlife and still being confined to a wheelchair, says Mustang McCracken. So I think that's the good thing about most religions is the idea that the afterlife, you'll be restored to your healthy sense, you'll be restored to your perfect condition. Yes, Danny had a great cast about authoritarian control the other day. And again, just a bit of a preview, Friday evening U.S. time, Danny on direct. Danny on and I will be reading jointly the Chad Daybell erotic love letters to his future wife after his wife mysteriously dies and her husband mysteriously dies. Lori Vallow, some erotic porn. Stay tuned. We'll read we'll give you a little sampler. We'll give you like a little Southwest sampler of that, and then we'll read it with Danny on her stream on Friday night. Right. So what's next in this grand scheme of things? This pastor, Paul Mackenzie, who is he? Who is this Paul Mackenzie guy? And apparently he's been hiding in plain sight, as the article says. Right now we've got currently 508 people watching and 483 likes. Please hit that like button if you haven't already done so and subscribe to the channel. We need to get back up to 36,000 viewers. How far are we? Let's find out how far we are. Let me consult the book of telephones. We are 15 people away from 36,000. Surely 15 people of you 500 have not yet subscribed. Please do so. Hit that subscribe button. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about some O.J. Simpson. Friday we're going to be talking about this connection between Judge Alex Manning that we watched yesterday, Johnny Depp's lawyer, My brain has just died. It's not Vasquez. Johnny Depp's lawyer, Alex Manning, and a professional basketball player, Camille Vasquez. It's Camille Vasquez, yeah. Camille Vasquez, Judge Manning that we watched yesterday, and a professional basketball player. They're all tied together. We're going to talk about that on Friday morning. Friday night will be the Danny on Direct Lori Vallow trial, combined with our reading of the Mormon porn erotic stuff that Chad Daybell was writing for Lori. But in the meantime, we've got this article here from The Citizen about him hiding in plain sight. Police this month launched a wide-ranging investigation into the Good News International Church and its notorious leader after a tip-off led them to a forest where Mackenzie preached. A taxi driver turned pastor who allegedly preached that starvation, this is Johnny Cochran stuff, starvation brings salvation. If you do not like the starvation, you cannot have the salvation. Paul Mackenzie was under scrutiny years before 73 of his presumed followers were found dead. We're already up to 89. This is old news. Police this month launched a wide-ranging investigation into the Good News International Church and its notorious leader after a tip-off led them to a forest where Mackenzie preached. They found 15 starving people, 4 of whom died, while others were taken to the hospital. But it was not his first time in the crosshairs of law enforcement. The discovery of dozens of bodies, most in mass graves, raised questions about how he was free to preach such dangerous teachings. According to the church's website, Mackenzie founded the movement in 2003 and set up branches in Nairobi and along Kenya's coast that attracted more than 3,000 devotees. It aimed to nurture the faithful holistically in all matters of Christian spirituality, as we prepared for the second coming of Jesus through teaching and evangelism, the website said. Mackenzie also launched a YouTube channel in 2017, warning followers against demonic practices like wearing wigs. Okay, all you basic bitches wearing wigs. Wigs are demonic practices. Get that wig off your head, woman. Get that wig off your head. Wigs are of the devil. Do not wear the wigs. And using mobile money in videos posted to social media platforms. News says I like this guy. No, you don't. So wigs and mobile money are the demonics. If you want to war against the demonic practices, make sure that you fight against wearing wigs and using mobile money. Later that year, the televangelist was arrested on charges of radicalization after urging children not to attend school because edumacation was not recognized by the Bible. 2 years later, he closed the church and moved to the sleepy town of Shakahola, telling the Nation newspaper in an interview last month that he got a revelation that the time to call it quits had come. If any of you have heard this song by, like right now, there's only one song going through my head. It's Stevie Ray Vaughan's Give Me Back My Wig. That's the only song that is playing in my head right now, and it's really distracting. Telling the Nation newspaper in an interview last month that he got a revelation that the time to call it quits had come. I just pray with myself and those who choose to believe, he said. Heinous acts. He was arrested again in March, according to local media, after 2 children starved to death in the custody of their parents. He was released on a bail of 100,000 Kenyan shillings, about $700, and told Nation Africa he was shocked about the executions. Shocked. Less than 3 weeks later, a police raid in a forest near the coastal town of Malindi led to investigators to exhume to the woodlands for mass graves. As they come to grips with what has been dubbed the Shakahola Forest Massacre, the pastor is once again in police custody after surrendering to the authorities. He is due in court on May 2nd. Oh, that's an interesting thing. JKD Buck 76, cults and martial arts. And certain martial arts organizations are the same. You are not wrong, my friend. You're not wrong. This is random fact. This is random legal vices fact. I think it's 476. I can't remember what number it is exactly, but back in the year 2000, 23 years ago, yours fat truly, legal vices, was ranked third in the nation, third in Korea in the World Guksulwon and Aikido martial arts for my weight class. I was ranked number 3 in the nation. Participated in tournaments, whatnot. Yeah, I have black belts in Guksulwon and Aikido, and I was ranked 3rd in the nation back in 2000, and I stopped cold because there was this faction, this fracture in the politics of this martial arts organization. And JKD Buck says, "Holy crap, you did Guksul 1 too?" Yeah, I held a black belt in the World Guksul 1 Association and the Korean Aikido Federation. Like the two brothers that broke apart and started both things, they both had it out for me because I was the foreigner in the group and whatnot. But yeah, that's why I quit. I quit because of the politics. Because I just want to go. I just want to go and learn martial arts. I just want to go and fight. I want to go and I want to do these things. But there's politics. There's the religion of the martial arts behind it. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong when you say there's not a lot of difference between a lot of cults and a lot of martial artist groups these days. That's a very interesting thing and very astute for you to point out. Yeah, Insan Saul versus Hyuksu. Yeah, see, Saul Insan is in America, and Saul Hyuk. It's the same family name. One spells it SEO, the other spells it SUH. Saul In Hyuk is still in Korea. Saul In Sun is in America. I don't even know if they're still alive. They might. I just haven't cared. But Saul In Hyuk here in Korea, I got on his shit list. It's just a fucking mess. Which is why I quit. I just bailed because I didn't want to be the pawn in this great political faction between two martial arts camps, between the Korea Guksul 1 Federation and the World Guksul 1 Federation and the Korean Aikido Federation. It was fucking weird that I was somehow caught up in the middle of this bullshit. Oh, they're both alive. Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, that's a random weird legal vices fact. I was sort of in the middle of this weird political battle between two brothers over the future of two major martial arts. See, like, I think my life is really stupid and boring and dull, and I can't imagine why anybody listens to me. But then when I start telling stories and I start listening to, I think my life has been like fucking really weird. And that's, well, see, I started off in, Joe Choice has done Shotokan Karate. I started out doing Sorinji Kempo in 4th grade because my older brother was beating the living shit out of me. And so I started doing the Shorinji Kempos, like a Shaolin temple based martial arts, in 4th grade. Just so I could stop my older brother from beating the living shit out of me. But yeah, so I did Shorinji Kempo for I never got a black belt in that. But after coming to Korea, I did get the black belt in Aikido and like Korean Hapkido. I say Hapkido. I say Aikido because people know what it means, but it's Hapkido in Korea. It's Aikido in Japan, Hapkido in Korea. Basically the same thing. Totally different, but basically the same thing, depending who you ask. So the Korean Hapkido Federation and the Guksul 1 Federation, I black belted in both of those, but it's weird. Okay. All right. We got off on some random weird shit there just a minute ago. I'm a 2-stripe white belt in the cult of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Well, that's a good thing. Congratulations. Yes. Yeah, JD Buck says Hapkido. Yeah, I just say Aikido because people know what that is. Most people don't know what Hapkido is, but yeah. It is Hapkido, which is essentially Korean Aikido minus Steven Seagal. All right, let's get back on track here. So yeah, that was my random story. Maybe someday I'll bring out my medals and certificates and whatnot. But back in 2000, I was ranked 3rd in the nation in Hapkido and Guksul 1. Loknav Livak says, have you heard about the Romanian cult of Gregorian Bivolaru? It sounds like a cow thing. They encourage the drinking of urine. And they also rented a church to film prawn. And they did stuff to kids. Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. That's kind of a thing with cults, is a lot of them involve doing stuff to kids. Right. In Serbia, they have a sport called the real Aikido. Oh, okay. Guksul equals suck tool. No, I always thought like Guksul one was like, actually, it was a pretty good street fighting technique. But anyway, we're not going to get off on that random. Oh, wow. Jeff, I am a 6th Dan in Tangsudo. I'll be getting 7 and 8 when I am there. Wow. Len, when you get here, when you come here to test, seriously, freaking hit me up. We'll do drinks. We'll get together. We'll do things. They don't like my aggressive attitude, however I teach to use. Tangsudo is like a great thing. Like okay, fuck me. How are we getting off on this tangent? My super ultimate heroes of martial arts stem back way into the 1980s. Benny the Jet Urquido. I'm sorry, Benny the Jet Urquidez is probably my all-time favorite hero martial artist, but also amazing actress, martial artist, and also Tangsudo master Cynthia Rothrock. Cynthia Rothrock is the shit. So Len H, seriously, anytime you come to get your 7th and 8th, I don't know when that'll be, how many years from now, hit me up. We will get together. I promise. Drinks, dinner on me. But yes, Cynthia Rothrock, also a practitioner of Tangsudo. Lots of martial artists took Tangsudo because that was kind of a thing. I think Chuck Norris did Tangsudo for a while as well. But anyway, we should have a martial arts night one of these times, but not tonight. Cynthia Rothrock is in her 60s and still kicking. Yeah, I just watched it. I watched another show about her the other day. I love Cynthia Rothrock so much. Guy Vermectin also knows Cynthia Rothrock. She's the queen. Oh God, Kaiser Pineapple tapping in here. I thought I was the only one who knew about Cynthia Rothrock. Badass. No, Cynthia's been my girl from like the mid 80s. That's like one of my bucket list items. And she has a few studios in Southern California and whatnot. She is one of my bucket list items to just meet Cynthia Rothrock. I've been in love with her since like 1985. Raise your hand if you're surprised Jeff is on a tangent. Len A says, I don't drink. I've never been drunk. I turned 58. The Jet gave me compliments at a tournament in 86. Man, Benny the Jet Urquidez. Like, for those of you young ones, before there was UFC, they had freestyle martial arts competitions on TV. It was just badass mofos in their own style of martial arts competing against each other. And just Google Benny the Jet Urquidez. Dude was fucking fire. Benny the Jet and Cynthia Rothrock, they're my two favorite. David, Cynthia is the shit. She is doing a new movie called The Last Kumite. Oh, she was in the original Kumite movies back in the 80s. Yeah. Ugh. Martian artist. Okay. I had to read that twice. Otherwise, I was gonna block you from chat. All right, there we go. Let's get off this martial arts thing. I think we've probably lost 1 million subscribers. We've lost like 100 subscribers since we started talking about martial arts. All right, let's get back to talking about cults. Because cults somehow are more interesting than Cynthia Rothrock. But Torgo the White says they made fun of Cynthia Rothrock movie on Riff Tracks. I think it was a martial law. Yeah, she was in a martial law. Great movie. But you make sometimes when you make fun of people, you're paying them homage. But yeah, Cynthia Rothrock was, like I said, she's in her 60s and she's still a smokehouse. All right. Kenyan Starvation Cult. Let's get back to the Kenyan Starvation Cult. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Boy, that was a random diversion. I have never had a random diversion like that before. So anyway, his reemergence at the heart of the unfolding situation. See, this makes it so hard for me to clip these videos and make shorts, because how do you clip this video and make a nice, good short or short form video out of it when I spend 25 minutes talking about Cynthia Rothrock? Oh, God. Anyway, his reemergence at the heart of the unfolding situation has raised questions about how a self-styled pastor with a history of extremism has managed to evade law enforcement despite his prominent profile. It has also drawn President William Ruto to weigh in on the sensitive subject of Kenyans' homegrown religious movements and failed efforts to regulate unscrupulous churches and cults that have dabbled in criminality. Terrorists use religion to advance their heinous acts. People like Mr. McKenzie are using religion to do exactly the same thing. Thirst for death that lurked in the depths of Shakola village. So now they're saying as of 2 hours ago, 212 people are documented as missing. So the numbers are going up, which is unfortunate. Wow. Umrete says, Shoko Asahara cult was crazy. Really? Why so? Why don't you tell us why the Shoko Asahara cult was crazy? I don't even know if I should address that or not. He was... I don't like, you have to be old to remember the Shoko Asahara thing. He was responsible for a sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway back in, I want to say 1995. And he was one of the last people to be executed in Japan. He was sentenced to death, and they executed him about 10 years ago, if I recall correctly. Yeah, he just like released a bunch of sarin gas bombs on the Tokyo subway. Yeah, Valhalla Way says 95. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit here real quick about him and what made him this cult figure. How did he become a cult guy? He was a taxi driver, and now he's like a major cult leader that has apparently convinced people to starve themselves to death. He started his church in 2003. So this is an old article. There's 58 people. So now they're like 89, and there's 212 missing. He and his wife, Joyce, whatever her last name is, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it out of respect for people that know how to pronounce it. The couple moved to Migingo village in Malindi, where his family still lives today. Unconfirmed reports state that in 2016, one of his followers sold his property at KSH. That's the Kenyan. Do they do pounds? Whatever the Kenyan currency is, 20 million, but that's a lot of money, and gave all the money to him. The preacher apparently used the money to buy pieces of land in Malindi and Mombasa, 2 vehicles, and to start a TV station. Yeah, he owned multiple TV stations by the time he was done. His teachings focused on the end times and evilness of Western ways of life, such as medical services, education, food, sports and music, and the uselessness of life. Yeah, the USA and the UN are agents of Satan, of course. This is him here. This is Pastor Paul McKenzie of the Church of the Good News International in Malindi. So he had a TV station, then the TV station closed because he found himself at loggerheads with then Kalifi women's representative Aisha Jumwa, after she questioned some of his teachings. Then he moves his church to this forest in Shakola, and 112 people, like now we're up over 200 people have been reported missing. So that's where we're sitting right now with this South African cult. I'm sorry, not South African, Kenyan cult. This Kenyan cult the starvation cult under Paul McKenzie. It's still very much an ongoing situation. You know, where are we? How many people are eventually going to turn up dead as being involved in this cult? Legal Vice's Al Bundy is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. You know who else is like weirdly, amazingly a good Brazilian jiu-jitsu good guy? What's his face? That played Bane and Alfie on. God dang it! Yes, Ed O'Neill is Al Bundy. Yes, he's very, very good. Who the hell played Bane? Tom Hardy. Yes, Tom Hardy is an amazing Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. Yes, Tom Hardy. If you search Tom Hardy and jiu-jitsu, there's stories of like he just randomly shows up at tournaments in England and just whoops the snot out of people, and they're like, "Holy crap! I just got my ass kicked by Tom Hardy." Yeah, Joey Diaz. He's been studying jiu-jitsu for a while, but yeah, Tom Hardy. Yeah, Rally. Yeah, Tom Hardy is an amazing Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner, and he's won a lot of awards. Just do it. Just search, Tom Hardy and jiu-jitsu, and you'll see. We need to get Lizzo to join this cult for a while. She could use some starvation in her life. Jeff Jarrett? I didn't know Jeff Jarrett did Brazilian jiu-jitsu. All right, we're not going to get back on this again. I always mix up Al Bundy and Ted Bundy. We're not going down this rabbit hole again. We're not going to do it. Not going to do it. Let's talk about this. I have to check this here. Got a couple of messages. I have to see if they're related to what I'm doing here now at all, or if it's just random messages. It's just random messages. All right, everybody. So Bane wears a mask. Nice. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about the Korean, the Kenyan Brazilian jiu-jitsu cult. Oh my God. All right, brain. This is what I wanted to talk about the Kenyan Starvation Cult. Probably shouldn't laugh when I say Kenyan Starvation Cult. This is what I wanted to talk about with the Kenyan Starvation Cult. There, I got it out. But when we talk about cults, what are we really talking about? Like I said, what's the difference between a conservative religion like the Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons or Seventh-day Adventists or some branches of Christianity or hardcore Catholicism? What is the difference between them and a cult? What is it? It's kind of isolation. That's nothing. Dog bunt. Nice. Yeah, isolation. Quite Chris. Oh, no, Adriana, not Chris Chan. Go to your room. Go to your room without any supper. Another one is the Cult of the Lamb. Yeah. So I mean, like, what is the difference? I mean, because again, I think it's important you can't just call someone you disagree with a cult, or someone that was charismatic or perhaps very conservative a cult. I think the term cult needs to be reserved for like the true grooming religions, the ones that pull you in and somehow set you apart from whatever is out there. Because I mean, literally the term cult comes from the Latin term cultus, the cultus, which means to cultivate, like groom. It literally means through like education and cultivation. The term cult literally means to cultivate or to groom people. So I mean, I think there needs to be some degree of the cult of kiwi farms. Some degree of I don't know what like authoritarian control. Where you're encouraged to be dependent on something. You can't do this on your own. You can't be alone. You can't possibly work out this salvation for yourself. You can't do this on your own. You can't, only through me can you do this. There needs to be that authoritarian control, I think, that you have to feel that you're incapable of living as an individual outside of the group. So you have to have that leader that's willing to step in and say, no. Just do what I tell you, and I'll lead you to that next level. I think that's important. This authoritarian control. And you have to have the beliefs, as we've talked about, that are a little bit more extreme than mainstream. Like I said, you get bogged down in the dogma, in the irrelevant doctrine. So you have these extreme beliefs on the edge, and you cultivate, you gather people that go, hey, yeah, I'm wondering, do those pearly gates swing or slide myself? Oh, I'm wondering, do Moses's sandals buckle or tie? Yeah, I think, because it says this in the Bible, and that must mean that you're out on the fringe, the stuff that nobody else is worrying about. And you find those other people that are worrying about or are susceptible to worrying about those same things. And you gather them to you. So I think you need to have the authoritarian control and these extreme beliefs, these dogmatic extreme beliefs that are on the fringe of religion, so that you're unable to question the beliefs because you don't. Nobody questions the core beliefs of amongst the Christians. Nobody questions the core values, the core beliefs that Christians believe, that Jesus died for our sins. He was nailed to the cross. He died for our sins, and he rose 3 days later from the grave and in a resurrection. The core Christians don't believe that, but it's the fringe ones, they don't argue about the dogmatic central. They argue about the dogmatic and extreme sides of it that nobody else can argue about because nobody else really cares. And as some of you have mentioned, the isolation from society. Isolation, I think, is a key part. I know, and see, this is kind of like the borderline thing for, I think, Jehovah's Witnesses. They do the shunning thing as well, where once you're cut off, you're done. Like Scientology, they label you as suppressive, and you're shunned. You're not allowed to deal with this suppressive personality with an SP. This isolationism, I think, is a key point, and because people accuse that like Mormonism. There's no isolation from society in Mormonism. You just don't go out to the bar and get drunk. You want to leave. You want to leave the Mormon church. You just leave. You go out. There's like no, your family members might pressure you to stay in. Your neighbors might pressure you to stay in. But there's no like, you're not getting out of here, and we're going to ruin your life if you do. You just walk away. But so this isolation from society, like once you join, you're supposed to cut yourself off from other people, from your friends, from your family that don't believe and have no contact. I think that's a key component of a cult, I think. Fat shaming. Well, I mean, every evangelical people will come to your door, Legal Vices, someone in chat earlier brought up the Anthill Kids cult. It's insane. Anthill Kids cult? I've never heard about that. Would you marry a non-Mormon? I mean, Mormons marry non-Mormons all the time. Me, I probably wouldn't marry a Mormon at this point in my life. Yeah, we parted our ways. Not that I have any problems with it. See, Danny on has a different route out of religiosity than I do. I mean, I figure I'm a very spiritual person. If we have to believe that we as human beings are the pinnacle of evolution in the universe, and that us mortals here on Earth are the absolute pinnacle of evolution for billions of years in the universe, that seems really fucking freaky. I certainly hope we are not the pinnacle of evolution in the universe. I hope we're just kind of at the petri dish larva stage. and that there are other cultures and things out there in the universe, and a prime mover, a god, a creator. See, like my personal vision of religion really corresponds to like the alien movies Prometheus, where there's like some engineers that would go somewhere and like cultivate a planet or farm a planet to bring life, people that are higher than us. Because I mean, if you fly a helicopter, like an Apache attack helicopter, into some non-contact, Indian or South American tribe, you're going to be a god. So why wouldn't someone who's evolved for 1 billion years from some other planet or whatnot come here? And why wouldn't we worship them as a god? I don't know. That's just kind of my thing. I think there's some people out there, there's some beings out there that are far more powerful and more advanced than we as mere mortals are. And maybe we would revere them as gods. I don't know. We'll just have to figure out how it works later. But yeah, I probably wouldn't marry a Mormon at this part in my life. What a weird answer to that question I just gave. In my experience, only J-dubs and LDS knock on doors. Not that door knocking is inherently wrong, but it's rare for Christian groups to do it. Yeah, I mean, I've had like a couple of other, evangelicals knock on the door, but by and large, it's Mormons and JWs. Yeah, fair enough. All right. What was I saying? Oh, so like an authoritarian personality, extreme beliefs, isolation. And I think when you set someone else up on a pedestal, like a supreme leader, a charismatic leader, I think that's kind of a problem too. When you said it looks like a Manson or a Jim Jones or this Paul McKenzie guy, or in the Daybell Vallows, Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, someone up there. Someone that says, this is me and this is my beliefs, adopt my beliefs and follow me. Some end very violently. Some don't end nearly as violently. So I mean, for me, that's kind of accurate. I think that's kind of a summation of what the warning signs of a cult are. I mean, again, mainstream religions can have these same characteristics: authoritarian control, extreme beliefs, isolation, veneration. But I think it should cause you to reflect a little bit. But and that's the problem. There are more than one kind of cult, I think, out there. You've got the doomsday cults, which is like the Lori Vallow, the Chad Daybells, Manson wasn't really a doomsday cult. Jim Jones, things like the Branch Davidians, David Koresh. The end of the world is nigh. It's like the Great Simpsons deal when Marge Simpson went to the nuclear plant for the first time. He's like, "Oh, I don't know why everybody's so down. This is a great place." And it's got the one guy going, "I am the angel of death. The time of purification is at hand." That kind of thing. The doomsday cults, the Branch Davidians, where things like where they're preaching the end is nigh. These are the end days. We have to prepare ourselves for the end of mankind, for the second coming of Jesus, or for our ascension into heaven, for our translation into heaven. Those kind of groups, the doomsday cults, are out there. But there's also like political cults. You have the cult of Donald Trump out there. You have the left wing, the cults of whatever you want to say. But we all know the political cults. I hate talking about politics. We don't need to get into music and fiction says legal vice is Heaven's Gate. Oh, just hang on, we'll get there. We'll get to Heaven's Gate. And then there's the religious cults. So I think we have like the doomsday cults, which are not necessarily religious. It can be tied to the whatever you want to say, called the second civil war in the US, whatever, the doomsday cults, the end of times cults, the political cults, or religious cults. But there's also like sex cults. Like I joked about at the beginning. Flux says the alphabet cult. Well, you're the expert, not me on that, but I tend to agree with you. That dogmatic, you have to believe this, or whatever. Sex cult. Why can't I find a good sex cult? Why can't I be the leader of a good sex cult? Come on. You know, you look at like everybody that runs a sex cult, they're like these dirty, grungy hippies, or they're just like these weird, ugly, bloated mofos. Why can't just like a normal sack of meat like me find a group of hot young girls to join a sex cult? Dang it. See, Danny On wants her Lafrodite cult. I just want a sex cult. I want to start a sex cult, damn it. But why can't I? How do you get some of these grungy, like hippie, dirty, freaky, weird, ugly mofos that can convince young, beautiful women to come and have sex with them? I don't get it. I don't understand sex cults. I wish I could understand sex cults. I really, really wish I could. JMS in Korea, the leader was stooping all the hot girls. Nice stooping reference there. You're right. And well, okay, we'll do a sidebar here right now. Yeah, JMS, the Shincheonji cults well, especially JMS. JMS was a huge sex cult. There's actually a documentary series on Netflix about Korean cults, because like Kenya, I was talking about how when Christianity is kind of in an infancy in a particular place, it tends to cultivate the fringe aspects. It tends to give rise to these cults. Christianity in Korea is not that old. It's about 50 years old. I mean, there's been missionaries here, Protestant missionaries, Catholic missionaries for 100, 150 years. But like the rise of Christianity is only 50, 60 years old here in Korea. So that tends to be like, okay, here's what we're taught, but then they get fanatic about it and they get a little bit further. One of them was JMS. This dude is literally this grungy, weird looking mofo. Let's see, JMS Korea cult images. There we go. Let's look at a random image of JMS cult guy here. Boop, as Danny says. Boop. This is the leader of the former leader of the JMS guys. Where are we? JMS. Here we are. This guy here. I mean, he's just a schmo, but he was recruiting all of these amazing, like tall, thin, hot university students to join his sex cult. That's the Moonies. That's different. But yeah, this is him, and he was saying that he was the only person that could interpret the book of Revelation and whatnot, and he was Jesus incarnate, and his whole deal was Jesus wants all you super thin, tall, hot Korean girl university students to have sex with me for salvation. How does he do this? I don't understand how sex cults work, because it's always like the last guy you would want to have sex with is the guy that is so charismatic that he has like an entire bevy of hot, super young Koreans. But there is a Netflix called, I think it's a series called In the Name of God, I think it's called, but it focuses on 4 Korean cults and JMS Gangnam Style. Oppa Gangnam Style. But it there's this Netflix series, I believe it's called In the Name of God, that JMS actually filed to try to get an injunction against Netflix from showing this series because they were in it. And it didn't work. Netflix won that injunction application, and they started streaming it. But go on, and I don't want to talk about it here because Korea has some weird laws for defamation and libel and stuff like that, slander and whatnot. So I'll just say, go watch Netflix. Go watch the Netflix. In the Name of God, I believe it's called. Sounds like I don't know. Is there a pronunciation for this? I never did figure that out. Is it just like NXIVM or is it NXIVM? I don't know if there's like a pronunciation for this, but we'll talk about them in a little bit. But yeah, I don't get sex cults. I wish I did. I want a sex cult. I just want a cult where people just want to have sex with me to have, to transcend into the next life. I just don't know how to start. Any volunteers? Hit me up on DM on Twitter at The Illegal Vice. Oh, I don't know who needs to hear this, but Korean skincare is on another level. Oh yeah. Don't you know it? All right. So, and we what have we talked about? Doomsday cults, political cults, religious cults, the sex cults. Which dang it, God bless you. If you're just this frumpy, dumpy, sad sack of meat, and you can start a sex cult, good on you, mate. That's all I got to say. So what makes a cult a cult? Like I'm saying, there's got to be some kind of differentiation between a group of weirdos and a group of extreme religionists and a cult. I mean, there was a cat worshiping cult in the middle of Tennessee recently. They worshiped cats. I mean, that's not really a cult. They're just a group of weirdos. And there's hundreds, if not thousands, of these weird little pocket groups. I don't know if they count as cults or just weirdos that do dumb shit. But I don't know, how do cults start? Oh, we just call it Nexium. All right, well, Nexium works. It was just never a thing here in the Korean news, so I never learned how to pronounce it. Nexium. That rings a bell. I guess I've heard it called Nexium before. But again, you have to have that charismatic leader. You got to have the guy to rally behind. So, if you're like a leader of a sex cult, even if you're like this weird, dumpy, frumpy guy, but you're still gathering people that want to smash you for enlightenment and translation into heavenly kingdoms. Yeah. Good on you, man. But you got to have that charismatic leader, the originator of the group, the guy who knows more than you, the guy who studied it, the guy who's unlocked this particular mystery. He's the only one. He's the gatekeeper of all of this mystery and religion that you don't understand because you're a layperson. You just don't get it. It's outside of your experience, and you have to come to me. You have to listen to me so that you can fulfill your part in this role of whatever group it is. Huge Ass says, I thought Nexium was the fast lane at airports. Jesus, cat. Thank you, Huge Ass, for that. But IWDL says Children of God definitely should count. Considered the son of their founder, streamed himself ventilating another cult member for all the child rape. I did not see that. Seriously? They streamed himself ventilating another dude? I did not know that. Wow. But we will talk about them in just a quick second. Huh. So you've got to have that charismatic leader that you can rally behind. The guy that started it all, the guy that knows more than you. The guy's like, no, you just don't understand. You gotta look at this. You gotta look at it this way. I'm the only one that can interpret this. I'm the only one that knows. I have the key. There's mysteries. There's things you're not supposed to know. And I'm your guidepost. I'm your lamppost. I'm your beacon that will lead you to the light. You got to have that charismatic leader. And this belief that you're going to somehow get better. You're going to transcend what you have. Your charismatic leader, your leader, he's the guy that can take you to the next level, because nobody wants to join a church where it's like, we're not getting better. We're just going to stay here. We're going to stay how we are. We're going to learn to suffer through what we got. These cults, they deal with it's the do X, then Y. If you starve yourself to death, you'll get heaven. If you blow yourself up in a crowded market, you'll get 72 virgins. If you do this, then this happens. They give you this belief system. It's like, okay, here's what's going to happen. If you do this, your life will change. If you do this, salvation will come your way. So in order to be part of the group, you've got to go through this transformation process that gets you to the next level while you're following your charismatic leader. So you go through this indoctrination So like when does a Catholic catechism or a Mormon missionary discussions, when does that end and the indoctrination begin? That's where you got to figure out where these lines are. And I think you need the control. You got the control. Are there these systems, these redundancies to control your life? So they've got you to the point where you think that you have to join this because they have something more, something you don't understand. If you join, they're going to give you part of this. So once they get you to that point and you join, then they need to control you and keep you in this. So you adopt this new worldview, you adopt these new behaviors, you adopt these new requirements, and a lot of them involve. And this is where I think, in the Mormon Church, I say we, but the way I grew up, the Mormon Church has the word of wisdom, which is no alcohol, no caffeine, not caffeine, no coffee, no tea, no drugs. Meat in moderation, everything in moderation. You have this word of wisdom. It requires a change in your behavior. But I think where it kind of gets culty is when you're asking people to cut off their past. You die today and you're born anew, and so forget your past. Cut off your family, cut off the non-believers, cut off the friends. You have to dress this way, you have to act this way. You can't associate with those people. I think those are the signs of when the system of control goes beyond normal, behavior that you would want to change to be considered part of a religion. And then there's the influence. The influence. It's the subtle influences, the peer pressure, the older members that are like, oh, this is how I live. This is how you're supposed to be. And I guess it's like a socio-political commercial cult, Amway, like we were talking about it before. It's like I'm a diamond member. Follow me and you can be a diamond member too. I will tell you that I was 50 years old. I've had friends try to get me to sell Amway since I was in college, but I was 50 years old before I actually witnessed, held in my hand, an actual Amway product. One of my ex-girlfriends, she got involved with Amway just so she could get cheap cleaning products. And still to this day, I get my dish soap and my house cleaning and disinfectant stuff from her through Amway. But I was 53 years old before I was 50 years old before I actually held and witnessed an Amway product in my own hands. But people have been trying to get me to join the cult of Amway since I was 18 years old. It's that, I'm this blue diamond member. Follow me, get under me, do what I tell you to do, and you can have the yachts and the boats and the Cadillacs and whatnot. So you have to have that system of influence. The I came before you. I've paved the way. It's the John the Baptist thing. I'm here. I've been sent here to pave the way for you. That's the thing. That you got to have that influence. And you have to be so enveloped in this other reality, following those who have gone before, that you lose yourself. You're completely shut in. You're completely closed in this new world view. So I think that's kind of what makes a cult a cult. So is it 10 followers? Is that a cult, or is that like a group of D&D players? Is 100 people a cult? Is 1,000 people a cult? It's like the philosophical question that I always ask is, what is assassination? What's the difference between you just being killed and you being assassinated? How famous do you have to be assassinated? I wonder about weird things. You'll have to forgive me. But what are some of the big cults through history? And I guess there's always been cults since ancient Greece and whatnot. But there's a lot of, it seems like the Moors are still around in the U.S. The sovereign citizen Moors, yeah. Marshall Apple. We're going to talk about Marshall Applewhite next. He was not the leader of Heaven's Gate. He was number 2. Okay. Number 1 was a lady who died, and they were an immortality cult. Yeah, they were an immortality cult. We're actually going to talk about them. I have like a list of a couple of cults that like modern cults. IWD, not a dude, a woman who graded him on his mother and father's orders, and then he self-yeeted. Okay. This is the Children of God thing. I think it was one of the earliest examples of that online. You're talking about the Children of God thing, or have I missed something else? All right, I'm trying to scroll through here to make sure we got all the super chats added away. Oh, Marv White said quite a while ago. I just somehow missed it. No, not that one. Saying dolphins are greater than humans. I don't know. You must be watching different videos than me. Marv, I can't find your super chat here to highlight it, but trust me, I saw it over on my list. Dang it. I apologize for that. Religion doesn't isolate, right? It's the cults that want to keep you locked away. They want to keep you shut away. They, to separate yourself from the world. That's a danger sign. When anybody wants you to cut off from your family, when anybody wants you to lock yourself away from society, that's a problem. Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, Jack, Matt, you've hit kind of the nail on the head. People say like one person is crazy, 2 people are friends, 3 people is an idea, and 4 people is a cult. That I've heard that said, and there's various iterations of that. But yeah, it's like 4 people makes a cult. Umrete says, for my 2, what level can I get in the cult of Lorax? I don't have a cult. I don't have a cult. I'm happy to just be a high priest in the cult of Lafrodite Danny on Direct. I'll be part of her cult. Maybe I can get some sex that way. The sex cult. Not that I have any problems. I'm not like other people that can't get it. But Duncan, Idaho, thank you so much for the super chat. Joining late, and this is off. Well, everything we've talked about really has been off topic tonight. So why limit ourselves now? This is off topic from yesterday, but I got to say, I think the story of Rodnika was better when I was anticipating it. Turns out she was just a regular slob. Yeah, go back tomorrow. Go back yesterday and watch the saga of Rodnika at the end, probably the last 20 minutes of yesterday's stream. But for those of you that are joining us late, we're going to be doing some more Judge Manning on Friday. Johnny Depp's lawyer, Camille Vasquez, Fulton County, Georgia Judge Alexandra Manning, and a professional basketball player for the Sacramento Kings have a tie together. We're going to talk about that on Friday night. So Friday night will bring us some Camille Vasquez, Alex Manning, and a professional basketball player. So join us there. I do you, Jeff. Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. There's the first person in my sex cult. But yeah, I'll be like no sex in the cult of Lafrodite, only fried chicken. Yeah, but see, I want to be like the Bacchus side of things. I want to be, the degenerate side of things. I want to be the one that gets all of the sex to protect, the pure Aphrodite, the Lafrodite from the sex cult. I want to take it all upon me. That's what I want. We'll get it worked out somehow. It's a young cult. I want to be the Bacchanalian feasts. I want, anyway. No, Digger 420. I want to start one. I really wish I could. I've always wanted one. I thought Indigo Luna was the first person. No, see, Indigo Luna she tried to be the first person in the Jeff Sex cult, but Lafrodite banned her. That was Lafrodite's very first official goddess act was banning Indigo. Jeff is the priest, Danny is the deity. Right. You got to go through me to get through. And I'm not drunk. I'm just having fun. We're just having fun here. It's just drunk. I'm not drunk. Like I said, we're just having fun. It's just a nice night to talk about cults. Right. Yeah. Danny and I, we'll work out all this cult stuff later. We'll figure out how it works out. But, I'll be the barrier between her and others, to protect her innocence and purity. I'll take upon me the sins of all you degenerate women out there. All right. Oh God, can we go back to talking about Cynthia Rothrock and martial arts? That was much less of a diversion than this. All right. I kind of did want to make a few mention of things that we already did that. Go away, Duncan, Idaho. We already talked about you. All right. Oh, what's wrong with me? All right. To wrap this up, I just kind of wanted to talk about a few cults. But I think, we have the first group, and this is an image that we've all become well acquainted with. This is Mr. Applewhite from the Heaven's Gate cult. And from what we were saying, some of you were saying that he's not the leader of the cult. Valhalla Wait says, just remember, sir, I was the first high priest of the cult of Laphrodite. Well, I'm the great intercessor or whatever, whoever is between the priests and the goddess. That's where I am. Whatever. You have to answer to me some way. I'm sure I'll work it out. Don't worry. Whatever happens, everybody's subordinate to me. So yeah, that's Marshall Applewhite. He was a member of the Heaven's Gate cult, and they were an alien cult. I don't know if you remember them, but they were like the late 90s, like 1997. They were one of the first internet cults. I mean, we had the great, the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and we had All Hail Bob and all that stuff on the internet. But like the first serious cult on the internet probably was Heaven's Gate. And they literally made their money. They made their fortune designing web pages. And they used the internet to recruit new members. So like Marshall Applewhite, like people, who was it that was saying that I am the high priestess of Laphrodite? We're Flux, you can be on equal footing with me. I'll work it out so you're on equal footing. Jeff is currently writing the book of how to lose 36,000 followers in one stream. Well, we've got 408 people here now and 563 likes. What's happened to our subscribers? We had 985. We're still holding solid. We haven't lost a single subscriber during this entire stream. So win me. We haven't gained any. Of the 404 of you here, if some of you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. I'm 15 subscribers away from getting back to 36,000. We need to get back to 36,000 and then to infinity and beyond. But yeah, Flux, you and I will work out how to be on equal footing, and we'll make we'll have to talk to Laphrodite to see how we go about making Valhalla Awaits just slightly subordinate to us, because we're better than him. Some followers are more equal than others. Yeah. So we have Marshall Applewhite, who founded this cult that was based on aliens, but he was together with Bonnie Lou Nettles was her name, and whoever it was said that she was the real brains behind this. She was the real founder. I had not heard that, but it was like Marshall Applewhite, Bonnie Lou Nettles. They formed this cult based around aliens. And he was one of the doomsday cults. He wasn't necessarily tied to a religious group. It was just this is the last days. It's doomsday. And he advocated a particular diet, the Master Cleanse diet, which was nothing but drinking lemonade, cayenne pepper, and maple syrup. That was a trend. That was a thing back then. And occasionally people will still do these stupid, weird fucking cleanses. But that was his deal. Like lemonade, cayenne pepper, maple syrup. That was the only thing that you should be surviving on. And the idea was doing that will purify you, that will cleanse you, and that will enable you to reach the next level. And there was a comet, the Hale-Bopp comet, which comes around like once every bajillion fucking years. The Hale-Bopp comet was coming through, and his teachings were that the Hale-Bopp comet was an alien spacecraft. And that once the Hale-Bopp comet came, you would shirk off your mortal coil, and your spirit would go up and intercept this this spacecraft who was masquerading as a comet. But unfortunately, Bonnie Lou, she died of cancer before they could all get to the next level of existence. But that actually was what led him to start preaching that death was necessary for the next level of existence. And then it was it was about a month ago. Yeah, it was March 1997. His group of people, they found their bodies. They were all laying in their bunks. Their shoes were set nicely by the side of the bed. They were all laying in their bunks. And they had all shirked off this mortal coil to join the Hale-Bopp spacecraft that was traveling through. And they had all offed themselves off. They had all self-deleted using drugs, vodka, and suffocation with plastic bags to get where they were going. And still, to this day, apparently there's a couple of followers of Heaven's Gate that are still out there. And a weird thing was that Applewhite, he advocated castration. He believed that, like, being castrated, having your nuts sliced off, would make platonic relationships easier, and you wouldn't want to have sex. He was like an anti-sex cult. But I guess the only way we can counter an anti-sex cult is to go to full sex cult. With this is the Nexium cult. Now that I'm told that's how we're supposed to pronounce it. And Allison Mack here, she got caught. A lot of actresses and actors got caught up in this sex cult, and this is recent. Timothy Schultz, 2.0 spaceship rides, quarters, or $2 spaceship rides, quarters only, and your spaceship is parked outside of Walmart next to the horses, next to the plastic horses. Yeah, $2 for the spaceship rides. I get free mustache rides because I'm part of a sex cult. But Keith Rainier, I believe his name was. He started the Nexium cult, and they had nearly 20,000 people in their group before it was all shut down. And again, this was the thing. This is like the the Scientologists and whatnot, and these other cults that have everybody is out here, but if you advance to a certain point, you get involved in the next circle. Then finally, you're allowed to come in to the inner sanctum, into the inner circle. The Nexium, they had their own little secret inner circle. And if you look at like some of the actors and whatnot, the people that left it, they would get brands with they would get with like a KR on it for the founder's initials. They would literally get branded with a branding iron. And of course, again, a sex cult. It being a sex cult, your pathway to salvation, your pathway to the next level of humanity was to have sex with this dude. How do you convince people to do this? To basically starve themselves. And if you give me naked pictures of yourself, that will help you reach salvation. Give me some leverage. Give me some like videotapes or recordings of you doing or saying some heinous shit, and that will help you get to the next level. You give me this collateral I can use against you, which is probably the only reason that Tom Cruise still has anything to do with Scientology, is because they've got shit on him from years and years and years and decades of him going through the E-meter shit and confessing everything. So, you tell people things, you give people things, you give them the nudies, pictures and whatever. And that gives you the impetus, that gives you the boost you need into the next level. But did he really force anybody to have sex with him? That's the thing. there was identity theft, extortion, all kinds of things going on with this. But was anybody lied to? Apparently, like I said, we had Allison Mack. She was an actress from Smallville, but she had recruited other people into this cult. This master-slave relationship. You want to come, you have to submit to the master. You have to have sex with the master. And she was in on this. She was forced to do this as well. She was brought into this, and she was brainwashed to the point of bringing other people into this cult with her. They went down for a lot of Rainier guy. He went down for racketeering, sex trafficking, cheese pizzaing, like CP, and a bunch of other shit. And he was sentenced to 120 years in prison. How do you get to that point? How do you get that powerful? Excuse me. But I think to look into that, we have to go back into the deep, dark recesses. We did that one already. We've had another boring. Well, there's the door. Don't let it hit you in the ass on the way out. See ya. I'm not sure if you're still talking about that, but Timothy Schultz said, no, the Heaven's Gate cult all had rolls of quarters in their pockets for the spaceship. Well, that's right. That's right. I totally forgot about that. You're absolutely right. Oh my God, I forgot. They were a weird group of people. Oh my God. Yeah, totally. All right. Wow. I just had a flashback there. That was pretty cool. No, boring was the no sex cult. Okay. All right, you can still stick around. Yeah, seriously, no sex cults are boring. No, cab fare, yeah, it was like intergalactic cab fare. But I think to figure out really what's going on with cults and stuff, I mean, you can't say where the modern cults started, but one of the main sources you're looking to are the Manson cult, the Charles Manson cult. For murdering Sharon Tate and LaBianca, Leslie Van Houten, interesting woman. She's a woman that I'm not sure, has she been released from prison? She used to come up for parole all the time, but she's done such a reformation job. She's helped so many people over the years, but they keep. Has she been released from prison? Yes, she was. She was. Chandler Remington said, yes, she was. Because, I mean, she was one that was just constantly coming up for parole, and they kept rejecting her. But she spent so much time in prison, deprogramming people, helping them, getting people on new paths and whatnot. Susan Atkins, I believe she died. And Patricia Krenwinkel, I don't think she ever reformed. That's just like my vague ass memory. What have I done? All right. There we go. That's what I did. Umrete says, you familiar with unitology in the Dead Space game? Oh, see, I haven't played Dead Space. I've played about 20 minutes of Dead Space. I really need to play it. And there's no reason why I haven't played Dead Space. I just haven't had the time. I have it. I just have not played it. There was a cult of atheism during the French Revolution who drowned 2,000 kids and replaced church relics with abacuses and scales. Well, that's weird. Okay. Huh. All right. That's weird and creepy. Okay. Manson. Well, let's talk about Manson here for a bit. His deal was I never told anybody to kill anyone. I never ordered any killings. That was kind of his thing. But he had his followers. He had the family out there in the Nevada desert and whatnot. It was the summer of 1969. The cult that followed him Although he says he never ordered any of it, they killed 9 people, possibly as many as 35. And they were living at this span ranch, and it was a commune. And Manson, of course, he gave the room and board in exchange for sexual favors. Like a lot of these cults, you got that sex thing, you got that physicalness, you got, you've got the sensuality of it. So, Manson was trading sex favors for room and board. And he allegedly wanted to start a big race war. I don't think we don't need to say allegedly. He's dead. What's he going to do, sue me? He wanted to start the race war. And so he was trying to foment the racial dissatisfaction, the racial things that were going on in the late 60s and early 70s. But clearly, Sharon Tate was Sharon Tate was one of the people he killed during the Helter Skelter murders. She was pregnant, I believe, with, I want to say Roman Polanski's. He was Roman Polanski's girlfriend. Who the hell was Sharon Tate's boyfriend? It was Roman Polanski, right? I'm getting tired. My brain is getting fuzzy. Sharon Tate boyfriend. Was her husband, boyfriend? Yeah, Roman Polanski. She left Roman Polanski in 1967. All right. So it was like Sharon Tate left Roman Polanski, but it was like Sharon Tate was Roman Polanski's ex-wife. And then Abigail Folgers, who was the heiress to the Folgers coffee empire, they were killed. And there was a few others, La Bianca. But we talk about this has been over 50 years and we still talk about it. Almost 60 years. And we still talk about these murders. Chandler Remington, very sad how the Manson case affected Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys. I could do a whole episode. You should do a whole episode on Manson. So Manson was something like I knew a lot about Charles Manson back in the early 90s. And then I just stopped caring and forgot a lot about it. Yeah, it was something. I mean, Sharon Tate was pregnant when she was murdered during the summer '69, the Helter Skelter murders. Yeah, Polanski, he was definitely a PDF file. But yeah, she was pregnant. I believe it was with Roman Polanski's child, but I'm not sure. Isn't Polanski that dude that raped the 13-year-old at Jack Nicholson? Yeah, that's him. Dude will never set foot in the United States again. I think there's actually some extradition and shit starting to go on. Wait, ex-wife? Something like that. Like I just stopped caring about Charles Manson a lot. Right about the time that what's his face? Geraldo Rivera did an interview with him. I kind of stopped caring. I used to know a lot about it, but I've forgotten so much over the years, and I haven't really considered it since we did this. But one of the more modern ones is the Branch Davidians, the Waco case. This is a case of our government, regardless of whether or not you think these guys are kooks or not. This, I remember just so clearly watching this on the news. Our federal government, the ATF, going in with tanks and burning this building and all of the people in it to the ground. All in the name of protecting people from bad religions. This was a wild, wild ride. The Branch Davidians under David Koresh. Again, it starts out, he's a charismatic leader. He was a pretty handsome guy, a good guy. He started Bible study classes. I know more about the Bible than you do. God has spoken to me and told me how to interpret his Bible. And then eventually it goes to that weird place where a lot of these cults go, where God was instructing him to have intercourse with younger females, like young females. But other men in the Branch Davidian cult, they weren't allowed. They were celibate. Other men in the Branch Davidians were forced into celibacy. Only David Koresh was allowed to have intercourse, and the younger, the better for him. And so he annulled. He said, "The God told me that all earthly marriages are annulled, and we have to prepare ourselves for the apocalypse. And all the women belong to me." That's what he's saying. All women in the world belong to me, and you guys just have to prepare yourself. But weirdly, he was a Seventh-day Adventist when he started, and he kind of got lost somewhere along the way. But he wasn't the founder of this. He just sort of took it over at some point in the early 90s. And then it was 1993. I remember because I hadn't been back from Korea that long, and I was just starting law school. I was just getting ready, just before I got married. It was in 1993. I got married in July of 1993, so it would have been before July. There was a standoff with what's her face, the attorney general. Janet Reno was the attorney general at the time. This gigantic, gargantuan woman. She was the one that apparently gave the order to go in and just take, because they believed there was a bunch of children in there that were being harmed and whatnot. And they were suspected of stockpiling weapons and preparing for the war. But they had like an almost 2-month standoff around this compound. And that was just fomenting this. It was just making it worse, to where the people inside were becoming more and more adamant that they weren't going out. They were going to go out in a blaze of glory. And the government is trying to get you to go in there. And eventually they drove their tanks into the side of the building and caught on fire. Some people say the ATF caused it to get on fire. Other people say the Branch Davidians torched it. But however it ended up, there were 77 men, women, and children that died in this raid of the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas, back in 1993. Will Ferrell should play Janet Reno in all depictions. Oh my. I don't even want to think about that. Timothy Schultz says there's an interview with a UPS driver that delivered guns to them and didn't know it. That's it. I haven't seen that interview. I remember watching that on the news thinking, this is our government going in and literally killing people because they just don't want to wait anymore, just because they don't want to bother anymore. Weird fact, during the standoff, the ATF played the recordings of dying rabbits at max volume from speakers at the Branch Davidian compound to force them to give up. Very messed up. Yeah, they did a lot of that, the sonic torture thing that we did on, not Pinochet, the other dude in Nicaragua, where they played like AC/DC outside of his compound 24 hours a day, really loudly. John McCain got in trouble for joking that Chelsea Clinton is so ugly because Janet Reno's her father. No. Yeah, you can hear the dog snoring. Great waifu cron. Yeah. Noriega, that's right, Manuel Noriega. They were trying to get him out of his compound by like just blasting AC/DC and other heavy metal through all hours of the day. Yeah, Flux says they did a lot of psychological games. True. And see, and that's the thing, is like, even if they are a cult, even if they're a dangerous cult, even if they're doing these things, does the government have the right to go in and kill people for not quite believing the way you do? If you're going to protect the children, go in legally and lawfully. But that was a huge divisive thing, what they did there with the Branch Davidians. Derna says Pinochet was Chile. You're right. And he gave great helicopter tours. Whatever happened to Pinochet's helicopter tours here in my chat? Been a while. I researched it after seeing it on Nick's stream. Waco was crazy shit. It was crazy shit, Joe. And it's weird. I mean, to watch that, to have your government go, okay, just drive your tanks into the side of this building and kidnap children. And that was, I can't remember the kid's name. That was one of the big things that came out of this was, the children at Waco, the parents at Waco, and then there was the kid in Florida that Janet Reno burst into the house, and they had all this video footage of the ATF rescuing a child from one parent to send back to Cuba or wherever the hell the kid was from. Can't remember what the kid's name was, but yeah, Janet Reno's time as Attorney General was a really, really weird time where the government did things that the government shouldn't do, in my view. Yeah, Alien. What the fuck was his name? Yeah, it was Alien. What the hell? Gonzalez. That's right. It was Alien Gonzalez. Yeah, there was some weird custody battle, and the ATF just went into the house and took this kid at gunpoint and gave them back to the other. I mean, this was just a weird time for the U.S. government. But we can still go back further in time to the group we were talking. Oh, hang on, here's just about to close the stream. That would have been weird, awkward, and bad. These folks, the children of God. I remember them when I was young. I remember them when like before I was 10. These were like a big group of people. The children of God were. They started kind of in California, hippies. Huntington Beach is where they started in the late 60s, and they really took off during the summer of love, 69. It was, they 69 for 69, whatever. Their whole idea was that they were God's messengers for the end time. They were hippies. And there was a lot of nudity involved. The family, they were called, they would just kind of wander around the country and do their little nudist colony things, and just again, sex between anybody. Doesn't matter, relationship, age, gender, sex, what doesn't matter. Just if it feels good, do it. Everybody's a hippie, everybody get involved, which really caused a lot of like rampant child abuse and incest and shit like that. A lot of that was going on here with the children of God. And weirdly, there was celebrities in that as well. Rose McGowan, she was actually born a member of this group. And she's kind of weird and mixed up. But also apparently Joaquin Phoenix was born into this group. River Phoenix and Joaquin Phoenix parents were apparently involved in the Church of God. So like Rose McGowan, Joaquin Phoenix were born into this group. And people have talked about how it was growing up in this. And it's still there's still pockets of this around the world today that people get caught up in and get involved in. It didn't die out. So it's kind of a weird thing. Yeah, look up Dave McGowan's work on the fake hippie movement out of Laurel Canyon in LA. Yeah, River Phoenix, rip. Oh, wait, what happened? Rest easy, Secret McSquirrel. What happened to Secret McSquirrel? What happened? I missed this. Oh. Oh, God. No. Oh, what? Seriously? Somebody please Twitter DM me a link to some sort of verification to this, because Secret McSquirrel, she was utterly fantastic. If this is true, that's really, really just freaking sad. I hadn't heard this, but if somebody send me something to Twitter to verify that, because she was a trooper. I know she had a lot of health problems, and I know she was a super woman. I haven't heard this, but wow. Runkle just announced it. She passed in her sleep last night. God dang it. she was a big supporter of all the LawTube people and everybody in it. Dang it. Yeah, Secret Mixed Squirrels. Oh, wait, I'm just kind of getting messages as we speak here. Chandler. Thanks, Chandler. Said she passed away last night. It was peaceful in her sleep. I'm heartbroken, as I am sure we all are. Secret Mixed Squirrel. Yeah, she was a big LawTube supporter. She was here quite a bit. Those of you that noticed her here, she supported a lot of us. Man, and I know she had a lot of health problems, and that fucking sucks. Well, all right, that blows. Dang it. I don't know where to go from there, actually. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a degenerate. I don't know what to do. I hate that. She was so kind to me always. She was one of the first people to welcome me here to YouTube. She was a supporter. She was here in chat occasionally. Yeah. Secret McSquirrel, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, thank you for the love and support you showed me over the last year. It's a pity you couldn't be here to see the 1-year anniversary, but assuming this is all true and not just some sort of miscommunication. Cheers to you for all you did for everyone in LawTube, for everything you gave me personally, the friendship, the kindness you showed to all of us, the personal relationships you made. Rest literally in peace without any further pain, any further medical conditions, any further hindrances to you enjoying eternity the way it was meant to be joined and enjoyed. Secret McSquirrel, cheers. Yeah, she was here just the other day. That kind of sucks. All right. Well, shit. George Jones. Not George Jones. George Jones was a country western singer. Jim Jones. George Jones most definitely did not lead a cult. Jim Jones did. In Jonestown, they're in Ghana. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the saying, "Oh, now to mean like you're going along, you're blindly following something." It's like, "Oh, yeah, you drank the Kool-Aid, you drank the." That's the thing. That's the saying that we've all heard. Oh, she drank the Kool-Aid. Oh, he drank the Kool-Aid. He drank the UFC Kool-Aid. You drank the LGBTQ plus Kool-Aid. You drank the Republican Kool-Aid. You drank the whatever it was. That comes from the Jonestown massacre. That comes from Jim Jones. Jim Jones was a charismatic guy. He basically fled the United States to Ghana in the 70s because there was like some financial problems and some physical abuse problems. And so he fled to Ghana in the middle of the jungles and started this cult, which was essentially a cult of drugs where they just did like amphetamines and barbiturates all day long. They would do mock suicide drills in case the government came and took them out. Starvation diets, things like that. And there's a documentary about a congressional fact-finding investigation that went to investigate them in Ghana in the late 70s. But Jim Jones's followers basically ambushed them on the airstrip and killed the congressman and 4 other people. And that day, the day that the congressman came, they killed those 4 congressmen. They all decided that was the time to drink the Kool-Aid. Flavor Aid, Kool-Aid, depending which version you want to believe. It was people say it was Kool-Aid, but it was actually Flavor Aid, which was a cheap knockoff of Kool-Aid. They laced it with cyanide in these gigantic barrels. So they made these gigantic barrels of Flavor Aid / Kool-Aid and laced it with cyanide. They forced the children to drink it first, then the women, then the men finally. And until 9/11, it was the largest number of American civilian casualties in a single non-natural event. So outside of man-made disasters, it was the largest number of American civilian casualties in a single non-natural event. 900 people died that day. And of those 900 people, about 300 were children. So yeah, Jim Jones. That's where the saying "drink the Kool-Aid" comes from. The Jonestown massacre, where he laced the Flavor Aid with cyanide, and 900 people willingly or forcibly took the Kool-Aid, the Flavor Aid, to their deaths. Yeah, Huge S says OMFG. So yeah, next time you say, oh, he drank the Kool-Aid, whatnot, remember that comes from the Jonestown massacre, but it was not really, I don't know if you call it a massacre, but the Jonestown incident where Jim Jones convinced 900 people to delete themselves and their children. Things that a lot of you youngsters don't know. Yeah. And lastly, the last one I want to talk about was the Rajneesh in Oregon. Like I dated a girl in high school that was from Bend, Oregon, and that's where like the Rajneesh cult was. But the Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, he was like this Indian guru guy, and he made this commune in Antelope, Oregon. And it was basically free love. Again, we go back to the sex. That's the common denominator for a lot of these cults, is the sex, the physical manifestation of the beliefs. You got to have that physicality, the sensuality. You got to be in tune. That stuff was coming from the Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh as well. And it was one of these guys, like, sell everything you own and give it to me kind of things. Now, interestingly enough, he was responsible. The Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh was responsible for the largest bioterrorism attack in United States history. And every year, or occasionally, like sometimes more than once a year, he would have these gigantic parades in Oregon where, I mean, everybody wore orange robes. You had to wear the orange robes, orange clothes, and they would walk in these parades. And Rajneesh, like I said, everybody sold everything they owned and gave it to him. And he owned 93 Rolls Royces by the end. He had amassed a fleet of 93 Rolls Royces, because that's what any good cult leader would want. Because why? Because 94 Rolls Royces would just be too many. 94 Rolls Royces would just be ridiculous. Yes, we had 93 Rolls Royces, and his whole deal was free love and sex. Sex is great. Sex is fun. Materialism is good. Jesus is a crazy madman. Let's just all live sensually. Let's just do it. If it feels good, do it. If it feels great, do it twice. That kind of thing. And when he moved into this town, like Antelope, Oregon had about 100 people in it until Rajneesh moved in. And he brought about 5,000 homeless people with him. So yeah, that's the thing. This little town of 100, this little tiny town in Oregon of 100 people was suddenly overwhelmed by 5,000 homeless people. And they they started to affect local politics, and they got involved in a bunch of voter fraud schemes and did all of this. But then this largest bioterrorism attack in United States history happened. This was in 1984. It was ahead of the November 1984 presidential elections and other elections. The Rajneesh went around to various restaurants in the area, and they were spraying salmonella on the salad bars in the restaurant. And like almost 800 people got sick from salmonella from eating from the salad bars where the Rajneesh had sprayed the salmonella at the salad bars. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people don't know about that, but that was like during the 84 elections. Of course, Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh denies having been involved in any of this, in any of the bioterrorism or whatnot. Yeah, they literally went around to a bunch of restaurants in Oregon and were spraying salmonella on the salad bar. Yeah. Yeah, Corn Pop remembers that. And so there's these cults that are everywhere. And like I said, Korea is no exception. If you have Netflix, go to Netflix, watch. And I can't I think it's called In the Name of God, where they talk about 4 Korean cults that are absolutely the same shit we've been talking about. Sex, they're the sex cults, they're the financial cults. And the Shincheonji, it's the I don't know, what would you call it? The new heaven and earth, because like Shin means new, and Chun is heaven, like Chunguk is heaven, so like Chun, Ji is like land. So like new heaven and earth cult, religion. This is one of the guys, like he knows all about the Bible. He knows more than you do. He's the only one that can interpret the mysteries and the secret coding in the Bible. But the Shincheonji religion, they're a big one here in Korea. That they were wildly persecuted and prosecuted, depending on what side of that particular fence you're on, for quite a while. Then they sort of faded into the woodwork for a long time. But as I talked about yesterday, I believe it was, they sort of became to the core. Let's rewind that and start over again. Yeah. They sort of faded into the woodwork. Then they came into the forefront again just recently when the big Rona came in, because Korea was doing an amazing job of isolating itself. Korea, the laws were very, very strict, and there were, just a few cases a day. And I remember specifically getting these messages on my phone. If someone would test positive, it would set off a national alert on your cell phone. It would say like, so-and-so, if you were in contact with this taxi driver that went from this place to this place on this date, please go to your local office for testing. And they were keeping the tabs very, very well, tracking the whole course of everybody that came in contact with Rona people, until it came to this Shincheonji church. They believed that they kind of believed they were immortal. That's kind of one of the deals. They believed they were immortal and couldn't get sick and stuff. So they were basically saying, screw you to everybody. They weren't following any of the Rona protocols. They weren't doing any of that. They were just running around wildly. And one of them got sick. And they all just kind of went around the country doing their thing. And they were the very, very first super spreaders of Rona in Korea, the Shincheonji church, believing, of course, they were immortal and not, nothing would happen to them. And I think they said that, some really huge number, like 65 or 75% of all Rona cases in Korea can be tracked back to the Shincheonji super spreader incident. So yeah, they were a big cult, and they lost a lot of members once the members started dying from the Rona. Going, wait a minute, I thought we were immortal. Yeah, it didn't work. But go to Netflix, check out In the Name of God. I believe that's what it's called. And you can learn about some of like 4 Korean cults. So it's really, really interesting. Whew. Right. And now the last thing we want to do before we go, we want to pimp Danny On's channel here for a little bit. It was something she did the other day. Let me make sure I got all the super chats out of the way. I missed a Flux super chat. Flux, where are you? Scrolling. Keep those wagons scrolling. Rawhide. There we are. Flux. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Flux. Fun fact, my Twitter picture is from the Halloween Mrs. Flux and I went as Jim Jones in the Kool-Aid. No. Shut up. Flux said I was the deadly Kool-Aid. No, seriously? Flux, I hate you, but I love you. That's funny. And Chandler, if you mentioned why Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys had something to do with the Mansons, I missed that. I'm still kind of curious about that. Kool-Aid and the Gang. You're old if you remember Kool and the Gang, Adriana. Right. So what's coming up next? Tomorrow, Chandler Remington and I will be doing our weekly OJ stream. Now, Chandler, I know this might come as some bit of dismay to you, but I think we're going to have to start an hour later tomorrow. He was friends with Charlie, and they recorded. Yeah, see, that's in Charles Manson. People don't know he wrote like some songs, that actually were recorded and were kind of popular. People don't know that Charles Manson actually wrote some popular songs, and he was a painter as well. Yeah, Chandler, I don't know if you're going to be too torn up by this or not, but we're going to probably start an hour later tomorrow. So we'll probably start at 10 a.m. Eastern time, because I have to go somewhere tomorrow with a friend, and we have to look at some things we possibly might purchase. And it's supposed to happen at 7:00 my time tomorrow night. I don't know if I'll be back by 10 p.m. my time or not. So we'll be starting at 10. We'll be starting an hour later than usual for the O.J. Simpson deal tomorrow. And Friday morning U.S. time, depending how my Friday night goes. If it goes really good, I ain't coming. Well, I mean, if it goes really good, I am. Never mind. I won't be on stream if it goes really well Friday night. But if things go normally, we're gonna do some Alex Manning, Camille Vasquez, and a professional basketball player. So stand by for that. Not sure what time that'll happen, but go to me on my Friday, some point Friday night. We'll do it. And Tigger 420 LMAO. Good luck, Jeff Nudge. Just kidding. We'll do it later that night. And by we'll do it, I don't mean me and my date. I mean me and you guys. Some point, I just don't know what time we'll start on Friday night. We'll do this amazing link between Johnny Depp's lawyer, Camille Vasquez, Fulton County, Georgia judge Alex Manning that we watched yesterday, and a Sacramento Kings professional basketball player on Friday morning U.S. time, Friday night U.S. time. I'll be joining Danny on to read some Chad Daybell Morm porn. And that's what we're going to do here. All right. I told Danny that I would do a little bit of pre-prawn video. She read a little bit the other day. I'm going to read a little bit of the same. And then Friday, we'll read all of the text. This romantic text message. If you've been following the Lori Vallow trial, she was married to this is just basification of this case. This is the most basic version of this case I can give. Lori Vallow was married to a dude. Chad Daybell was married to a chica. Chad Daybell's wife died under mysterious circumstances. Lori Vallow's husband died under mysterious circumstances. And the two children were deleted allegedly by Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow because there was just too many children. But they started a cult. They started a cult that was a break of an offshoot from the Mormon church. And they kind of went way off the reservation. And they were talking about how they had been married previously before they came to Earth, and they were predestined to meet each other. And they had these spiritual powers to create portals in their bedrooms so they could visit each other spiritually in their sleep and whatnot. But during all of this, whilst they were both still married to other people, Chad Daybell was sending Lori Vallow these pornographic text messages that were kind of a saucy 50 Shades of Morm. And just to give you a little bit of a preview, we'll read some of that. I think we can read some of that. We can read some of that. Timothy Schultz says there was a guy on Joe Rogan that was talking about Manson, and that DA story was BS. Which DA story? The district attorney? The Vince Buglioso? Vince Bugliosi? He was the district attorney. I'm not sure which DA story you're talking about. What do you mean DA? Digger 420. Oh, good. I'm wanting some Mormon prawn from Jeff. All right. Pre-trial, says Huge Ass. No pre-trial. Tomorrow is it's an interesting deal. Like, not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. Camille Vasquez, Judge Manning, and a professional basketball player. 50 Shades of Morm. So here we go. This is a little bit of Morm prawn from Chad Daybell. Chad Daybell, cult leader who believed in zombies, who so much believed in zombies that allegedly when he offed the two children that he and his wife are accused of offing their two children, anyway. They so much believed they would possibly come back as zombies that they duct taped their hands and legs together and put duct tape over their mouths and stuck them in 2 plastic bags and burned them and buried them under the ground. Yeah. Chad Daybell was writing erotic fiction to his soon-to-be wife after both of their spouses died. But while they were still married to their respective spouses, he wrote this. And again, this is just a little. We're not going to read much of it. It could be. I don't think we can because I just accidentally closed the Oh, there we go. I've reopened it. All right. These are text messages, text message prawn that has been introduced into evidence in the Lori Vallow trial. This is a fictional version of how Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow met. And mind you, the full story is going to be read by myself and Danny on direct on Danny's channel on Friday evening. This is just a little appetizer. Chad Daybell sends Lori Vallow this text. I'm heading to bed so that I can come snuggle tightly against you. I adore you. You are truly my best friend on earth and throughout eternity. See you in a minute. And reminded this, they believed that they could create portals in their closets and whatnot, so that when he said, I will snuggle against you and see you in a minute, he literally meant, I will go to sleep, you will fall to sleep, and our spirits will go through these portals we've created and be with each other. Timothy Schultz, thank you so much for the super chat. Yes. Him, the main one. Guy on Joe was saying it was more of a revenge kill over a record deal. Oh, the record deal conspiracy. Yes. Thank you, Timothy Schultz. That's a good one. Zombies vote all the time. Enough with your dead phobic bigotry. All right. Here we go. Everybody settle in. Let's listen to some erotic poetry by an alleged murderer to another alleged murderer, both of whom have been accused of murdering the children. So he's told her that he's going to see her in a minute, apparently after he opens up a portal into her bedroom, and their spirits can get all snuggly with each other. Spirits smashing in the dark. Kind of reminds you of that old song, we are spirits in the material world. We are spirits in the material world. Our spirit. Anyway, enough of my singing. The text is from Chandler, Arizona Police Department report that recounts the text messages exchanged between the couple in mid-July 2019. So this is before the children are murdered. Chad wrote Lori a story. And in the story, he changed the names to James and Elena. James is himself Chad Daybell. Elena is Lori Vallow. So they call each other James and Elena. Or I told you Lilith's head was going to crop up at some point during this. They referred to themselves as Raphael and Lily. James and Elena, or Raphael and Lily. So yeah, Raphael or Lilith, Raphael the angel and Lilith, reportedly the first wife of Adam, who spawned Nephilim and other disasters throughout history. So yeah, they called themselves Raphael and Lilith. And although this is erotic, weird Mormon porn, it also gives you a little insight into this cultish, murderous behavior of these guys. Yeah, Raphael and Lily were their nicknames when they weren't calling each other James and Elena. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Lilith was reportedly the original wife of Adam. Just look up Lilith. Or if you watch Supernatural or Lucifer, then you'll know about Lilith. But yeah, she was supposedly the first wife of Adam. Anyway, Friday morning, October 26th. Driving, I have to bring the microphone in close. Ladies, get a mop. It's gonna get wet in here. Sorry. This is evidence in a murder trial of 2 children. I should probably be more respectful, but I'm not going to be. All right. Friday morning, October 26th, driving south on the freeway, a voice said, "You will meet an extraordinary woman today who will change your life forever." This was shocking, since such a thing seemed very unlikely at this conference. So the character in this story is going to a Mormon conference, like where you set up tables and shill your books. So the protagonist in this story was going to a conference, a survival, like an exhibition of some sort. It is actually a very detailed story that began long ago on another world. And I will cover that part as I go along and the characters figure things out. But on the morning of October 26th, James arrived in St. George, still a bit baffled by the message he had received. St. George is in the very southwestern corner of Utah, just before you get into Nevada. He unloaded his books and set up his table, then joined the organizers of the conference for dinner in the main room. He saw his friend MG, who had been so helpful to him when he spoke in Mesa that July. That's Mesa, Arizona, another Mormon outpost in Arizona. MG introduced James to her friend Elena. When their hands touched, he felt a shock pass through him, and his heart started beating fast. Elena was gorgeous and vivacious, and James was a little intimidated, yet honored that she would talk to him. Okay, here you go. This is a little bit of insight. I'm saying this gives you a little insight. Lori Vallow, she seems to be the alpha in this whole cult thing that was drawn up, and Chad sort of seems to be the beta, because you can't have two alphas in any relationship. One of them has to be a beta, and this was him, where he's talking about meeting Lori, and he was just honored that some woman was talking to him. That is pure beta male cuckery. Men, you should not be honored that a woman is talking to you. You should be expecting that woman to talk to you. You should be expecting that you're good enough that any woman, regardless of how out of your league you think they may be, that they should talk to you. You should expect that. You shouldn't be honored that some woman is deigning to talk to you. That is bullshit. So anyway, that gives you and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how that should be the male self-confidence. You shouldn't be thinking that, someone is doing you an honor by talking to you. Women, the same thing. You shouldn't feel honored that some hot dude is talking to you. You should expect it. You should expect that this handsome guy is talking to you. Men, you should expect that this hot woman is going to talk to you. Don't be honored that someone is deigning to speak to you. That is beta bullshit. But anyway, and I'm going to go on a rant in the next sentence. So don't get your hopes up of some long, lengthy reading before I rant again. I'm going to rant again in the next sentence. So hang tight. Elena was gorgeous and vivacious, and James was a little intimidated, yet honored that she would talk to him. He was happily surprised when she mentioned a key part of his novel, the renewed earth. No one had ever recognized the significance of that scene before. All right, rant time. See, this is another sign of a cult leader. This is a sign of a cultist, a cult leader, one of these charismatic personalities. He's smarter than you. And if you look at Chad Daybell, he's actually written several novels, like religious novels and whatnot. But this is the indication that he believes he is better than you. He knows what you need. He is the only one that can lead you to the light. He has the information. He has the destination. He has the congregation behind him. He has it. You have to follow this charismatic leader to get to heaven. You don't know it. He is smart, and you don't know it. You cannot appreciate how smart he is. He is the cult leader. Excuse me, that hurt. So yeah, that's what he's saying. He was a little intimidated and honored that she would talk to him. And also, he mentioned this key part of his novel that no one had recognized its significance. That means he wrote this passage of significance, and he wrote it so well that he is the only smart person that can decipher this for you. And he was shocked that someone else, a lowly person, a lowly woman, could appreciate what he was trying to. The only person, there's only one other person in creation that can appreciate, that can understand, that can grasp the significance of this scene that he wrote. And all right, so that's the end of that rant. This is kind of evidence that Chad Daybell thinks he's smarter than you, because he wrote this passage that only he understands, but yet someone else did it. And now don't get settled in. Don't rest too much, because I'm going to rant again on the next sentence because I have to. So, all right. He was intimidated yet honored that she would talk to him. And then she mentioned a key part of his novel, the renewed earth. No one had ever recognized the significance of that scene before. He had heard that voice before and seen that smile. He felt they had even talked before, but who could be certain when? Okay, I'm not actually, it's a few sentences down. Sorry, you get a few sentences reprieve before I rant again. It was strange, but he could remember. The feelings were very strong, as if they had known each other oh so long. They didn't get many chances to talk after that, because he had to help voice a woman's blue Muppet. I'm serious, that's what it says. They didn't get a chance to talk after that because he had to help voice a woman's blue Muppet. Yeah, it says that. He had to help voice a woman's blue Muppet, but he watched her every chance he could. He had to stay at a relative's house that night, but he hardly slept. He kept envisioning himself with Elena in every wonderful situation that indicated they had been more than just friends. And that's capitalized, just capitalized friends. James was the first speaker on Saturday morning. Remember, this is at a Mormon conference, so James is the first speaker on Saturday morning, and he knew exactly where Elena was sitting. Oh, yeah. He made sure to mention the scene from the book that they had discussed the previous evening. He was completely smitten by her and even was nervous of what she would think of his talk as he spoke. But when he would glance at her, she was always attentive and watching him, unlike the rest of the crowd. After his talk, he went to his book table. His talk had gone well, and there was a good group gathered around to buy books. His heart nearly leapt out of his chest when Elena joined him and helped him sell the books. She was so beautiful that he could hardly concentrate on the customers. Sam the Eagle. Nice, Adriana. She straightened the books and gave the books great reviews, although she made him laugh a lot when she kept pushing the youth and 5th volumes of his first series. It's weirdly specific. He could only giggle when people asked if she was his wife, because yes, in fact, she was. She just didn't know it yet. She didn't know that she was his wife yet. James was definitely, here's where he gets saucy. This is spicy. James was definitely having amorous feelings towards Elena as they sold books together. He had not felt this happy his entire life. He was quite sure this was the woman the voice had told him about. James was ecstatic because he had already fallen deeply in love with her. Or better said, he remembered how much he already loved her. Her eyes had memorized him from the very moment they saw. But once the book sales slowed down, she stood near him behind the table. They looked deeply into each other's eyes for the first time, and he knew he was in the presence of a goddess. We've lost 100 people since I started reading this. We're reading Morm porn from the Lori Daybell Chad Vallow story, by the way, just in case you're wondering what the fuck is going on. Her eyes had memorized him from the moment they met. But once the book sales slowed down, she stood near him behind the table. They looked deeply into each other's eyes for the first time, and he knew he was in the presence of a goddess. He resisted the impulse to kiss her. Mind you, they're both still married to actual living people at this time. This is before they've died under mysterious circumstances. And he knew he was in the presence of a goddess. He resisted an impulse to kiss her, but his entire body was on fire. He instinctively knew she was everything he had ever dreamed of. I must clarify that James is a very difficult person to get information from. He has been blessed with great knowledge, but 99% of the people he knows do not realize that. So here again, this is him saying he is blessed by God with specific knowledge, but 99% of humankind is too stupid, too dumb, too out of tune to know that and appreciate that he has this knowledge from God. So only through following him and his glorious Lori Vallow, aka Elena, only through following them can you learn this 99% of the information that you are too fucking stupid to know. Only 1% of the people are blessed enough to be able to understand this special knowledge that God has given him. Wait, what? Toy Luck Carissa said, just started listening. Are we listening to a weird romance novel reading? Yes, we are. We are listening to an excerpt from text messages sent by Lori Vallow from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. If you're following the Lori Vallow murder trial, it's a weird religious cult thing where both of their spouses died while they were trying to have an affair under mysterious circumstances. 2 children were deleted because there was just allegedly too many children around. But this is evidence in the trial that Chad Daybell was writing these text messages in this novel form to Lori Vallow, his soon-to-be wife, once they got rid of all the messy business of their current spouses and the children. Yeah, so that's it. Lol says, it's a mystery. Some of these women should stop expecting that. That's nice. But apart from that, someone you're saying, where did this go? Oh yeah. Mustang McCracken says, at chance, Legal Vices streams just work better if you just go with it. Yeah, we're reading this. Again, we're not going to read the whole thing. We're just going to read a little bit. We're just giving you a little sample. On Friday evening, U.S. time, I will be on Danny on Direct's show, and we're going to read this thing in its entirety. So this is just an aperitif. This is just a trailer. This is just this is just a little smidge of what you can expect on Friday evening. Toy Like Carissa says, crazy. Thanks for the explanation. Yeah, go visit Danny on Direct. It's Danny AHN Direct here on YouTube. She's been following the Lori Vallow trial and all of its like amazing insanity. This is just one small part of it that is so bad we decided it had to be read. So I'm just giving you the trailer, the preview, if you will, the aperitif for what's coming in the future. We'll read a little bit more here, then we'll wrap it up. This is so bad. James was definitely having amorous feelings towards Elena as they sold books together. He had not felt this happy in his entire life. He was quite sure this was the woman the voice had told him about. James was ecstatic because he had already fallen deeply in love with her. Or better said, he remembered how much he had already loved her. Her eyes had mesmerized him from the moment they met. But once the book sales slowed down, she stood near him behind the table. They looked deeply into each other's eyes from the first time. And he knew he was in the presence of a goddess. He resisted the impulse to kiss her, but his entire body was on fire. He instinctively knew she was everything he had ever dreamed of. I must clarify that James is a very difficult person to get information from. He has been blessed with great knowledge, but 99% of the people he knows do not realize that. He is very guarded, and it is a great task to gain his trust. But as Elena leaned forward him and asked a couple of very insightful questions, his heart burst with joy. Ladies, get the mops. He knew she was one of the very few people on earth he could trust. James's spirit was so excited at this revelation that he shattered a thick veil that had been placed between these two souls during their mortal lives. The thick veil had been placed because of the unique, unparalleled love James and Elena had shared in previous lifetimes. That veil had prevented them from finding each other until this appointed day that would be remembered throughout the heavens as the true beginning of a spectacular mission that would save millions of souls and defeat the forces of darkness. James's physical attraction to Elena was almost overwhelming, but she was equally drawn to the spiritual energy that was radiating from her. He was, as they talked, it was confirmed to him that they had indeed been married before and were eternal companions. He had glimpses of them walking dusty paths together, and he realized they had been married during the life of Jesus Christ, and they had been very close to him. At this time, their spirits could not be restrained any longer, and a long-awaited makeout session took place at the lobby. That's what it says. That's what it says right here. At this time, their spirits could not be restrained any longer, and a long-awaited makeout session took place in the lobby. This was manifest in the mortal world to James and Elena. I'm sorry, I can't read this sentence. Wait, hang on, it gets worse. For those of you that are laughing about the penultimate like sexual tension being built up by a makeout session in the lobby. Wait, it gets worse. I just can't read this sentence without laughing. All right. All right, I have to draw upon my decades of acting experience. Okay, face. At this time, their spirits could not be restrained any longer, and a long-awaited makeout session took place in the lobby. Wait for it. This was manifest in the mortal world to James and Elena through the scientific phenomenon known as loin fire. Yes, it says loin fire in quotation marks. Kaiser Pineapple's like loin fire? Yes, loin fire. All right. All right. This sentence requires a special reading. At this time, their spirits could not be constrained any longer, and the long-awaited makeout session took place in that lobby. This was manifest in the mortal world to James and Elena through the scientific phenomenon known as loin fire. As they talked, James had a burning desire to make love to her. I'm sorry, this is so bad. I can't. Oh, I've had this crazy thing for the explanation up the entire time. Oh God, yeah, this is really bad. Corn Pop, thank you so much for the super sticker. Penicillin, that's nice. Penicillin will help you get through it. Sorry, we had to do the Bone Steel voice there because it was just bad. Thank you for the cat sticker there. All right, let's get back to the loin fire, or should I say, loin fire. As they talked, James had a burning desire to make love to her, but he wasn't sure she felt the same way. But they could not stay away from each other. One time, she was sitting in a couch near his table, and he took a seat on a chair about 5 feet from her. She began to squirm and covered her body with her hands. She asked him, "Oh, what are you doing?" He wasn't aware of what she meant. All he knew was that if Bruce Porter hadn't been giving them an evil eye, A child. Christ. I can't read this. Oh my God. I don't know who I don't know who Bruce Porter is, but he's the ultimate cock blocker. This Bruce Porter character is a cock blocker. Swan Lake Lady asks, is Danny going to read the female parts? Probably. I don't know what's going on here. We'll work it out. Bruce Porter is the ultimate cock blocker here. All right. All right, I got to read this sentence. Well, introducing character Bruce Porter, cock blocker extraordinary. All right, here we go. He wasn't aware. Now, this is just after she said, oh, he was just sitting in a chair 5 feet away from her, and she was squirming and covered her body and said, what are you doing? And he wasn't aware of what she meant. All I can't even read this with a straight face. Valhalla Wait says, I sent you something on Messenger. Okay. All right, I'll look at it in a second. He wasn't aware of what she meant. All he knew was that if Bruce Porter hadn't been giving them an evil eye, a child would have been conceived on that couch. That is the worst writing I have ever read in my entire life. Oh, oh my God. This is the worst writing ever. But Valhalla awaits. And see, this is the first time I became acquainted with this. I was like drunk off my ass on one of my Fuck It Friday streams, and Kurt actually read some of this on my stream a long time ago. That's how I became acquainted with it. Oh, Bruce, you are a cock blocker extraordinaire. If Bruce hadn't been giving them an evil eye, a child would have been conceived on that couch. The erotic tension continued throughout the afternoon. James could only think of her. His desire for her was indescribable. Thankfully, she had worn 16 layers of clothing to survive the 80-degree weather. She had worn 16 layers of clothing, thankfully, so that he just wouldn't ravage her on the spot. She had worn 16 layers of clothing to survive the 80-degree weather, so he was not fully aware that she truly had the body of a goddess. Her dimensions were her dimensions. Well, they're not her measurements, her dimensions. How fucking big is she that she has dimensions? Her dimensions were exactly what he'd always fantasized about. But that revelation would have to wait a month. Why is he gotta wait a month? I don't get this. As the night concluded, James needed to take his empty boxes to his car. With Elena's help, he had sold more books at a show than he ever had before. She helped him carry the boxes to the car, and then he could not resist the desire to hug her. Oh, Lord Jesus, they hugged. He made an awkward attempt that was way too brief because their friends were bringing more boxes. In that short embrace, though, he knew he had found the woman he had searched for his entire life. It was made crystal clear to him that they had been married before and would be again. Parentheses, after they killed both of their spouses. Allegedly. Oh my God. Yes, Jesus. He made an awkward attempt. He knew he had found the woman he had searched for his entire life. It was made crystal clear to him that they had been married before and would be again. He once again had to fight off a powerful urge to kiss her and somehow disguise the massive erection he was experiencing.
Loin fire!
He's got a massive erection. Oh, Christ. Oh, no. He once again had to fight off a powerful urge to kiss her and somehow disguise the massive erection. Not just a massive erection he was experiencing. They returned to the building and he helped carry tables to the second floor. While she sat on the couch. Typical fucking woman sitting on the couch while the dude's lifting the tables to the second fucking floor all by himself. God damn it, ladies, pitch in. They couldn't take their eyes off each other. He was already madly in love. Her group of friends finally had to leave. He was devastated, unsure how he would ever contact her again. Then her spirit took over. And her spirit asked him, "Can I get your cell number in case I have some questions?" Yeah, baby. Her spirit took over and asked, "Can I get your cell number in case I have some questions?" You fucking horn dog. Wow. They exchanged numbers and they gave each other a hug goodbye. It was the most wonderful, electric, delicious hug he had ever felt. Then he watched her walk away, knowing she was truly going to change his life forever. That's all I'm going to read today. That's the preview to Friday's stream with Danny on direct. Loin fire like an STD. Burning Ring of Fire came next. Clip the shit out of it, a spree. Oh, Chandler Remington. Jeff should work for a phone sex hotline. Only for you, Chandler. Only for you, Chandler. Loin fire, I think we call that crabs. Gonorrhea. Oh my God. You guys are funny. Yeah, so that is more porn from cult leader Chad Daybell to assistant cult leader Lori Vallow that has actually been introduced into evidence in this murder trial for horrifically murdering her two children. Whew. But yeah, that's yes, a delicious hug to be Flair. You could read Audible books. That'd be fun. I think that would be fun. Where the sidewalk ends, Shel Silverstein. I don't think I read this poem in that book. Neo Dark Matter says, "Lol, when do I have to start drinking on Friday to listen to that?" Oh, the dog snoring was icing on. I don't even hear the dog snoring anymore. Did he count the layers? 16 layers. How did he know? Oh my God. Yeah, so that's it. Come on, Jeff. She has 16 layers of clothes on. How is he supposed to lug How is she supposed to lug tables up to the second floor? Right. Can't hear spirit call his spirit without cell phones. Right. Where's Bruce Porter? Yeah, why isn't Bruce Porter helping lug tables up to the second floor? Get off your ass, you cock blocking Bruce Porter. Oh. Is this a Judy Blume novel? Oh, hell, he wishes he could write as good as Judy Blume. Oh. Yeah, all right. Soil my holy garment. To be fair, it is tough to carry tables with a massive erection, says the Surreal Goose. Oh. All right. This Winter Steel says, I can't really laugh yet, Jeff. What the fuck? This is too funny to not listen to, but it hurts to laugh still. Well, keep it up. You'll be able to get there in a minute. JKD Buck says, I never thought I'd hear Jeff say massive erection, but here we are. Oh God. Yes. All right. This is where we're gonna end this crap tonight. Thank you for joining me here. We went 3 hours and 27 minutes. We went like 90 minutes longer than I had planned. Oh God. I hope you enjoyed this little foray into cults. 309 of you are still sticking around, although we've lost about 200 people. I wonder how many subscribers we've lost because of that Daybell shit. Let's see. Let's check on our subscriber count. We had 985. Oh, we've got 2 more subscribers. You nasty fucking horn dogs. We got 2 more subscribers during all that sexy talk we did. Lori Vallow. It's like the old yeah. Who the hell sings that song? Damn it, Jace. Jace Everett. That's right. The theme song to True Blood. I want to do bad things with you. When you came in, the air went out. What a great song that is. That's a nasty song. Don't know who you think you are, but before the night is through, I want to do bad things with you. All right, that's the Lori Daybell song there. Yeah. All right, everybody. Let's see who we've got. Who we've got live here that I can dump into. Probably MLS Law for some more of this other psychotic woman who's killing her other freaky weird children. I want to do bad things with you. What a great song. Jace Everett. That's a great song. Yeah, we need a. I haven't seen our emoji creator here for quite some time. I've never seen him in emails. See how he's doing. I haven't seen him here for a while. We definitely need an emoji creator, like a loin fire emojis. That's what we need. Oh yeah, I'll turn down the lighting. We'll have a romantic lighting for Friday. Don't worry, JSDs. I gotta check up on our Ujima, what's it? On our emoji creator. Haven't seen him for a long time. All right. I'm still checking to see who is streaming currently that we can dump our stream into. Me, I'm still streaming. That's a good thing. Butler County Traffic Court first appearance trial. We've got that live. God dang it. Hang tight. Just checking on numbers here. Just checking on things. Going to the YouTube studio to content. Maybe some grape flavored candles. All right. Let's see. Customization. Redirect. Who do we get to redirect to? Is anybody live right now? No, weirdly, nobody's automatically coming up as live. So let's check MLS to see if MLS Law is up. MLS Law. Yes, MLS Law is live. He is doing the Letitia Stausch trial. Again, another deranged psychotic woman accused of deleting children, much like the Lori Vallow case, but with 100% less cult involved. So what we'll do is we will go to MLS Law, and you can watch some of this trial if that's what you're down for. Tomorrow we'll be doing our O.J. Simpson trial with Chandler Remington, my wonderful, amazing, beautiful co-host. We will be starting an hour later than normal at 10 a.m. Eastern time. because I have things to do. And Friday, at some point after I finish with my business on Friday night, most likely we will have Camille Vasquez, Judge Alex Manning, and a professional basketball player all tied up together somehow in relation. That's kind of interesting. I mean, not like physically tied up, that'd be weird, but you know, they're all linked together somehow. We'll talk about that Friday morning. Friday night US time will be Danny on and I reading that thing. And Flux, you need to grift yourself here, because Flux has a very important thing coming up as well. Let me bring this up here. Where are we going here? I did want to mention something important from Flux. Now let me do it here. Flux. House of Flux. Go to House of Flux. Make sure you subscribe to her and like all of her videos. It is 29 hours from now. So that'll be April 28th. What the hell day is that? Okay, that'll be Saturday morning. Like right up just before I start the stream with Danny on. So we'll have to time it because I do not want to overlap with this. So yeah, it'll be just about perfect. Flux is going to be doing on so it's 8 a.m. Saturday 28th. Is that what it is? Oh shit, no. All right. On Friday, the 20th. Flux, what time Eastern? Thursday, 7 p.m. Thank you, Flux. Is that now 7 p.m. Eastern, correct? That's Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Flux will be doing an interview with Zenith Anderson, the sister of Zachariah Anderson, who I am firmly convinced was improperly and unjustly convicted of murder. So Flux will be interviewing Zenith Anderson. I'm going to make sure I'm awake for that. I'm going to get up and I'm going to watch it. Do not miss that. And I do not want that to overlap with anybody else's stream because it's a very important stream and Flux needs to do it. So Flux, thank you for arranging that interview with Zenith Anderson, sister of Zachariah Anderson. That will be 29 hours from now. You just figure out the fucking time yourself because I can't. That's what we've got to deal with. So Flux will be doing that. Do not miss it. That's it. That's all we've got today. Let's go over to MLS Law and see what he's doing. And if you want to join, just let him know Legal Vice has sent you. And take care of yourselves, everybody. Chandler Remington and I will see you tomorrow for OJ Simpson. Wait, no, Kaiser has to get his grift in here. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, The Edge of Reality, Episode 5, The Miracle of Fatima and the Vatican Suppression. Oh, interesting. When I lived over in the other city, there's a city about an hour away from here, Masan, Korea it's called. I lived right next to the Fatima Hospital. So yeah, the Miracle of Fatima and the Vatican Suppression. Interesting. And Kaiser Pineapple, I hope you're talking about Father Malachi Martin and his involvement in the Fatima prophecies. If you're not, you have to do some research between now and then. You definitely need to be talking about Father Malachi Martin and his involvement in the Fatima prophecies. Thanks, Jeff. So grotesque. Well, I'm glad you're happy. Bye, Jeff. Wish I could say it's been a pleasure, but oh yes, great. Kaiser Pineapple has confirmed he will be talking about Father Malachi Martin, one of my personal favorite people in all of the Catholicosphere. Father Malachi Martin, one of the few actual ordained exorcists of the Catholic Church. Before he was mysteriously died. Anyway, all right, that's it. Make sure you check out Kaiser Pineapple. Now I'm definitely going to be checking that out. Father Malachi Martin, he's my boy. And then Flux, check out Flux. Check out me tomorrow with my co-host Chandler Remington. And check us out on Friday as we talk about Alex Manning, Camille Vasquez, and a professional basketball player. And then we'll just read this more important again Friday evening. Thank you so very much. Let MLS Law know that it's a Legal Vices raid and you are here to support him, like his channel, and do all that other stuff. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. And remember, no matter what you do, always be sure to enjoy. Yes, Art Bell did have him on. I love Art Bell. We'll talk about Art Bell someday. Enjoy your legal vices. Bye now.